storms have caused damage to your property.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring. My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the Magic Mile. Welcome into race number 19 of the SIM500 NC811 Cup Series as we go sorta short track racing on this 1 mile flat track that is home of a lobster of a trophy. I hope that's the only time I have to say it like that. Otherwise, a lobster for a trophy. And a lot of good side-by-side racing and potentially some carnage too, because that's just how we race on a short track on steroids, if you will. But that's where we are tonight. It's round number 19 of the SIM500 Cup Series presented by the NC811.org. Now tonight, a special name as we actually have a sponsor tonight for the race, and we're going to bring it full tilt to you guys this evening. Looking forward to the fun. We're going to have special guests in the booth throughout tonight, but it's all about Giants. Yes, we're going to talk Giants in a Boston market. It totally makes sense to me, does it not? It sure does, actually, because that's what we're here to do. We're going to have fun. The Talkin Giants 150. Talkin Giants versus the world, as I've learned. 150 here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Of course, the usual track weather. iRacing default, 79 degrees, 54% humidity, partly cloudy skies, 2-mile-an-hour winds. So on and so forth here at this 1.017 mile oval. Believe it or not, it's not a straight up 1 mile oval. It does have 17 100ths of an extra mile on it. That's because of the way it was measured in the middle part of the track. Anyways, I'm the captain, of course, with you on this Monday evening. Kevin England joins us. Kevin, here we go, man. Ready to rock and roll after a wild Atlanta race. Now it just gets calm and we go on a flat track where there's hardly any kind of hitting or banging and beating and multi-groove racing and stuff like that.
Bar none, my favorite track in the sim. I love this place. I think it has all the elements of an amazing race. It's race the racetrack, it's close quarters, it's multi-groove and pit strategies and tire wear, and oh yeah. You got to have your New Hampshire on here. I'm going to love this race tonight.
Now, does anybody realize that Kevin is actually a modified guy? Which this is like modified heaven right here in New Hampshire. If that didn't give it away, that whole reply, then you totally have missed it. Let's just put it like that. But Kev is a big modified person. Of course, there's a museum right outside the track that Dr. Dick Bergeron put together. Of course, features a lot of modified racing. We saw one hellacious race this past Saturday evening in the modifieds. If you didn't get a chance to see that, I would suggest you go to Flow Racing and watch it like as soon as you're done with this broadcast, because it was a lot of fun as we rock and roll. Now tonight is the Talkin Giants. I keep putting a G on the end there, but maybe that's because it's the G-men. 150 here. That's because there's a podcast featured on John Boy Media called Talkin Giants versus the World. as Justin always tells me. But been actually joined by the guys from the show. They're going to join us tonight. We're going to do like NBC four-man style here this evening, being joined by Bobby Skinner, Justin Pennick, I believe is how the name is pronounced. How professional of me not to ask. But gentlemen, welcome in.
Thank you for having us. We're excited, to sponsor and get our name on it, but both are race fans, and I've recently gotten way more into it. Part of it, Anthony driving the 84, but also we've done some partnership stuff with NASCAR, where they sent us to the 500 and the street race in Chicago, where I'm all the way back in, like I was, in the late the 2002 to 2010 range. I'm excited about racing again. Football season is a little depressing this year because I'm not gonna be able to watch racing as much.
Well, that's what you do. What I used to do, and I'll explain this. When I would watch football and watch racing, what I would do is I would watch, because there's always one channel that doesn't show the standings of the other, and that, of course, is when you're watching football. So what I would do is watch the football, tape the race, and then later on watch the race, because I didn't know who won it.
Here's my issue, Chris, is that Saturdays I'm not around, so I delete my Twitter app. I follow too many NASCAR people now, so I'm like, I'm just gonna have it on a side screen, so I won't be as immersed into it, but I'll still get to, keep up with it at least.
That makes sense. So qualifying is underway, of course, presented by 811. Know what's below, call before you dig. And yes, Richard Beasley, I see you over there asking me. I do have the right points. I actually prepared last night to make sure I got this all correct after my snafus last night. So qualifying is underway right now, as Justin Fuller, who I learned a little bit ago. I don't know. I'm assuming you guys don't have access to the Discord channel. Now you do. You might see it over in the chat in series discussion. But apparently Fuller likes that team in Dallas. And he said he feels like he has to show up tonight now because of this race being sponsored, as he just got knocked off the pole. Pedro Mojica, a popular name that you guys have probably had a chance to see once or twice, is on the pole. But Justin, obviously you're here tonight too, also to join us for this race. What are your thoughts so far?
No, I'm very excited. Thank you guys for having me, Chris, Kevin. I mean, it's so, Bobby and I, it's so funny. Bobby and I have been listening almost every week as we see, Anthony Calantoni in the Kyle Larson scheme, trying to take over the pole. I'm really excited for tonight, and hopefully, for the people that are listening and for the people that are watching, hopefully they're not getting a little too discouraged that football people are on. Like Bobby said, we've been racing fans all of our lives, and really, as Sundays come around and Sundays are going to be occupied by football for us, it's iRacing that happens in the middle of the week, and cheering on my buddy Anthony Calantoni whenever he races. That's like what kind of really keeps me connected to racing during the season. So I'm really excited for tonight. Ton of talented drivers, excited to see the strategy and where the line's going to develop, where the groove's going to develop across the iRacing track. I know it's going to be a little bit different than the IRL racing that we saw today. So really pumped to be here, excited to see what's going to happen tonight.
Absolutely, it's going to be a lot of fun. And the good news is most of these Sunday night, we'll be pretty much done with this series as we get into the later part of the season. But outside of a usual New York Giants, Dallas Cowboys, or Washington, New York, or Philly, New York Sunday night matchup, most of the Sunday nights are open for Giants fans. So, because those are usually the three matchups that you see New York play on Sunday nights, usually one of those three in the NFC East. But needless to say, looking at the 84 right now, he's P7, 31-13. He's about 10th and a half off of Pedro Mojica. Him and Tyler are tied right now, but it looks like Mojica got him in the thousandths category time-wise. Kevin, this track here, you heard Justin talk about real life. Okay, obviously in real life you want to run somewhere in the lines. This track, though, you can actually work your way up in that darker section and get a little grip out of it.
Yeah, you don't see too many bottom feeders here at New Hampshire. A lot of drivers like to roll in from the outside edge of the front stretch and just let the car float in, and then once it hooks up, they pick up the throttle. Got to be really gentle coming up off the corner. The car wants to step out. And yeah, you can run it down in there and just wait till it takes a set. Sometimes you do run along the bottom. We've seen drivers exit out of turn 2 right down there by the pit exit wall. And other times they're up along that seam where the track changes. So you do what you got to do. Get through the corner.
And the one thing that's tricky here, I've actually run this car and even the previous Cup car at this track, You saw a lot today of those cars kind of diamonding the track where they would slide up and then come to the bottom, like you said, almost getting right up next to that inside wall. I've tried to do that on this sim and about wrecked every time. It's not as easy as they make it look like in real life with the grip in that section of the track. But right now, Mojica's still on poles. We got about 15 seconds left, so unless somebody throws a miracle lap up there, Pedro is going to be on the pole here at New Hampshire this evening. All right, so the points were mentioned. Let's throw those up real quickly on the screen and show you where everybody is running right now as the qualifying ends. And as I predicted and said, I've got it right. Pedro Mojica, 3 wins on the season. He leads over David Comstock, Chad Coleman, Mike Kelly, Richard Beasley, your top 5. 20 cars make the playoffs. Doug Roth, the bubble boy right now. Seinfeld reference there. Robert Fryery there a point behind. Charles Van Schaik, Joey Jatina, Glenn Campbell, all those guys within 5 points of the point lead. Jimmy Coleman, Kevin Stone a little ways back, but still got some time. Remember, this season is a little bit longer than the Sunday night series. So Sunday night, of course, gets cut off with the football time. This series goes into November, so we still got plenty of races before the playoffs, but that still don't mean that we're not keeping an eye on these point standings. So as they get their 1-minute warm-up time here, and how about we talk to the pole sitter as we usually do here. I know Pedro looking pretty good. He absolutely waxed the field last night at the Chicagoland Speedway, and see if he can do the same tonight, and see if he thinks we're going to see a race like we did today in real life. As we scroll down here to the, and this I'm kind of showing Justin and Bobby how I do the whole scrolling thing. I was trying to explain to them how like I pull up somebody to the channel and how magic it is sometimes. So like, bam, right there's Pedro up in the booth with us. So hey, Pedro, oh, he was up here. What, did I put him in the wrong channel?
You put him in the wrong channel.
Oh, son of a!
There you go.
What channel did I put you in? Hey, Pedro, hello. Hey, man, well, congrats on the pole again. Are you going to be able to do what we did last night at Chicago here at New Hampshire?
We'll see. I mean, we got pretty decent pace, but there's some good drivers in here. Like always, Monday's got a little bit more competition. Cars seem to be a lot closer on the Monday Cup deal, so we'll see. But I think starting up front will help for sure, but also need to be managing tires. I think if we do get a long enough green flag run, rear tires will be important, especially for drive off.
How are we looking groove-wise? I know, obviously, this track, I know to a point today we saw you can run pretty much from the bottom to about midway up, but here it seems like that bottom's almost impossible. But then when you get up to maybe into the dark a little bit, you can make that work.
Yeah, I would say the second to third groove will probably work. Anything lower or higher is going to be tough. So I think the very first groove down here in the bottom just doesn't have enough banking. The way the car is, it'll cause you to de-wedge the car and get loose. So kind of want to avoid that if at all possible, unless you can drive straight off the corner. But yeah, I think the middle groove and the third groove is going to be the way to go.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, best of luck tonight. Congrats on the pole, and see if you can be the first 4-time winner in the season.
All right, we're going to try.
All right, buddy. Pedro Mojica on the pole here tonight. A pretty good lap on his part. Now I see why I put him in the wrong channel when I moved him up here. We're all sitting in the waiting room.
We are.
I did not notice that. Oh, well. Well, let's get ready to go racing here. 150 laps, 150 miles around this track. It is the Talkin Giants 150 with Mojica and Tyler Dalton on the front row. Race number 19 of the SIM500 NC811.org Cup Series is green. As we see Mojica and Dalton go to turn 1, everybody 2x2 right now, as Brian Wortman's already jumped to the pits.
Everybody 2x2 coming off of turn number 2 right now. Everybody just settled in, trying to get those tires up to temperature. They're going to leave a little space left and right as they head into turn 3. Not a lot of grip here in the beginning, especially loose up off the corner. So I just want to get a clean lap number 1, then they'll build their confidence and try to have that charge going forward.
And of course, Mojica leads lap 1. Our cameras tonight presented by TrackCams22.com. You can check them out online on Facebook and in the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com. As one car gets really loose there.
EJ O'Rourke.
And then another car goes around. Josh Parker, I think.
Yeah, it'll be the 11 of Ron Hollifield hard into the outside wall, turn 2.
So Parker spins. Holyfield goes around. He's in the inside wall. Looks like E.J. O'Rourke has gone around. And just like
O'Rourke around.
Oh, I can tell who you guys don't like. Anyways, yeah. So caution's out for the first time here, as you got some viewers here. I see. So one Doug Analytics says that he's never wanted anything more than in life to listen to Bobby and Justin commentate some iRacing.
Well, happy birthday, Doug Analytics. I hope you're. I don't know if you're previously a fan or what, but we appreciate you.
I don't know.
But yeah, I didn't see what happened. I saw the one guy get loose in front of Calantoni, and then I didn't see what happened with the other 3 cars.
That's the beautifulness of replay. Let's show it here real quickly. So this is where the green flag comes out. There's Holyfield in the 11. He's got Doug Roth there.
About contact there. It looks like the 81 just slightly tagged the 41.
Oh, yeah, right there. EJ goes spinning. Nice hit. Oh, and then Ron gets turned hard. Ouch.
Yeah, that's an ouch for Ron.
Somebody dead righted him. I think.
Yeah, I think actually he turned down to try and get away from the 41 and the car broke loose.
Oh, yeah. See, Parker gets into the 41, as you mentioned. Yep, right there. And then Holyfield gets loose, and then Beasley just helps him back the other way. And then Parker had his own issues over on the road course section of this track. There you go. So caution.
I can imagine that Discord. Lap 1. Lap 1, we're already getting into each other's rears.
You can only imagine some of the things you could hear in a chat when this kind of stuff happens. Yeah, I would air it, but I might get in trouble. So yeah, let's talk a little bit here. So Talkin Giants versus the world, as a lot of viewers watching, they keep correcting me because of the versus the world part. But let's talk a little bit about the podcast for those who are joining us tonight, not a part of the crew of viewers or listeners that you guys have. What is the podcast? What do you guys focus on? And talk a little bit about yourselves also.
Despite some of the rumors early on when we joined the series in the chat, it actually is just a podcast about the New York Giants, where I remember there was some rumors that it was about violence and you know, going against the world, but we are a culture of violence. But no, it's simply a New York Giants podcast, and we try and make it a community, and I think you guys have seen that a little bit with the chat and stuff. So if you're a Giants fan, I mean, we had big news today with the Saquon Barkley stuff, so go check it out. Apple, Spotify, YouTube.
There you go. Be talking about that. And I kind of teased Justin. Bobby, you might know this answer since you're a Floridian like I am. That's where I grew up. And I think with this news on Saquon, there's another running back in the New York backfield that I think could be featured a little bit more and could be, here we go, that fantasy word, steal.
And on the Giants team?
Yes.
There's Eric Gray. But if you're saying Florida, Jashawn Corbin, he's a Brevard County guy like myself. I don't know if that's who you're referring to.
Well, that's a Cocoa High School, Jashawn Corbin. Oh, by the way, it's an Indian River kid you're talking to.
Okay.
So
yeah,
we're right there with
with
each other.
A little bit.
Okay, yeah. So
I'm a little frustrated because Corbin, I mean, we're the, you know, not to brag, we're kind of the #1 Giants podcast. When Corbin was signed, I reached out. I was like, hey man, I got the #1 Giants podcast. You're from Brevard, let's link up. And he never responded. So I'm a little salty with Corbin.
So now that Justin knows who I was talking about earlier, well, I got a little. I kind of was like, I got to pull something together here for Jashawn as I was thinking about this, and as we come to the green, just think about it like this. Think about the running backs that Mike Norvell has coached at Memphis, and where this could help Corbin maybe break out this year.
For it.
Tony Pollard.
Let's do it.
Just saying.
Okay, Tony Pollard. Okay, yeah, Pollard. Supposedly, though, on a serious note, they really like Corbin. I think he'll be a chance to go off this year.
Here we go, green flag back out. Mojica, Comstock, they're driving inside of Dalton. He kind of got caught sleeping there a little bit. And I see Stoney's friends, Barbara Opinion, and others joining us also here tonight. Good to see them. As we race down the back straightaway, looks like everybody getting through there kind of clean. Of course, these cars are pretty interesting to drive, guys, when the early part of the tires, they're not up to full temp. The cars can get very free and very loose, especially when you have nothing to catch the car banking-wise. So right now, these guys are driving kind of treacherous waters, not to mention track temp is way up there. So think of yourself driving on ice right now, so to say, for a little bit.
Yeah, one of the other
We've been watching all year, Bobby and myself. Doesn't matter what series, doesn't matter if we're in Xfinities, doesn't matter if we're in trucks, doesn't matter if we're in the Cup cars. Tyler Dalton is running up front every single week.
Oh,
So-
Parker
big
just
wreck.
clobbered the wall.
Oh.
There's parts everywhere on the front straightaway right now. Would that be targeting on the safer barrier?
Oh, that would be personal foul, 15 yards. I mean, that was brutal.
Kevin, that looked bad.
Yeah, no doubt. He came off the corner and he had that hospital wobble. The car just stepped out on him. Everybody talked about trying to pick up the throttle and get off the corner, and unfortunately for Josh Parker, just lost the grip on the right rear. The car swung out, and there's only one way it's going to do. Do-si-do back into the wall. He really killed it. Hood went flying over. Wow.
There's sheet metal everywhere.
Yeah.
Unfortunate deal there for Josh.
He's sitting right in that spot that I remember Dale Jarrett was sitting in when they finally changed the rule where you can't race back to the finish line on cautions.
That was in 2004 when Jarrett was sitting literally in the middle. Who was that? Was that trying to see who that black car is that clobbered him? Was that Gillenwater? But yeah, for those who don't know that story, Dale Jarrett was sitting right about where he is there. As back in the day, they raced to the caution, but there was like this gentleman's agreement. You never passed anybody. You just got to the line. The leader would slow up and allow the lap car to get their lap back or whatever. But it turned into you know what, you're not getting your lap back, and they'd race full tilt back to the line. And there's Dale Jarrett's car sitting in the middle of the track, and they're like, all right, that's enough of that. So that's where the lucky dog and all that stuff came into play from that whole thing. So, Kev, kind of a auspicious, kind of an auspicious start here. Not what this field wanted.
Not really a surprise, though. You know, one of the things about this racetrack is braking points vary.
Yeah.
Some drivers want to go down to the bottom on entry, especially on cool tires, until the car gets set up. They're just going to hug that yellow line. And for that, they need to brake early. Other drivers are going to drive all the way out, run that high line, try and sweep and get longer momentum coming off the corner in order to get a better run and set up passes on the backstretch. So, you know, you're going to see variances, but the gremlin that has been plaguing everybody in practice was up off the corner, picking up the throttle, the car would step out. Drivers were talking about changing steering ratios so they could try and catch the car and turn into the spins and stuff, but unfortunately, just not something Josh Parker was going to be able to control there. Bob Gillenwater took quite a big hit also in the number 4.
Yeah, it looks like Bob has been able to get the damage fixed. I'm looking at his car right now. I see a little crinkle in the left front. Might hurt him aero-wise a little bit there. But otherwise, looks like his car is okay. Worse for the wear there. But the caution out here for the second time here this evening allows us to talk to our guest here, Justin Pennick, and, of course, Bobby Skinner, who is a part of the Talkin Giants versus the World podcast. And we were starting to talk football a little bit and just kind of getting ready for the Giants season. And I of course, like I said, did the research here. While we're under caution, I'm going to bring up some names here for you real quickly. Tony Pollard, Patrick Taylor, Kenneth Gainwell, Antonio Gibson. Those are 4 running backs in the NFL that played for Mike Norvell at Memphis.
I was a big fan of a lot of those guys coming out of Memphis. I feel like there was one other one too.
Well, you got D'Angelo Henderson from back in the day.
Yeah, Kenny Gainwell I really liked as like a receiving back, and he's starting to have more of a role to Eagles.
So that's why I think could, you know, and I'm making notes for a fantasy season later on. I'm like, maybe this is the sneaky pick I make. I go get Jay Sean Corbin. I mean, and not to mention Corbin played with Jimbo there for a short time at A&M before going to Florida State. So
that's right. So are you an FSU guy in general, or?
I am, yeah. Growing up down there, grew up a big FSU fan. My dad did, and that kind of thing. And I can't say that too loudly around Chad Coleman, because he might throw a go dogs at me or something.
I will say, before we go back to green, I mean, I was thinking to myself, you know, credit to the rest of the field on that caution for not getting caught up. You know, that was a 2-car wreck, big wreck, but only 2 cars. Like seeing a bunch of cars back, you know, staying in the field here.
And the good news is with these cars, they're very durable. I mean, you can get them fixed up and that kind of thing. iRacing's done a good job with this new build, but obviously you see your boy Cal Antonio. Oh, is he going to get put 3 wide off of 2? Cal Antonio in the middle. I was about to say Frankie in the middle, like Mike, Munoz or something, but I think that joke's probably getting old now. And you see he's running that bottom lane. See, it's 2 degrees below that first hash, if you will. And then above that, it becomes 7 degrees. So that's where you see the little transition of where cars might be looking like they're lower banked. So that's about the sweet spot right there, where Cal Antonio, Doy Woods, those guys topside, if they can carry the run off the corner here.
Good side-by-side racing, a couple rows deep.
Oh, yeah. Chad Coleman in that picture there, Joey Jatina. And one underrated thing, Kevin, let's bring up here really quickly. The back straightaway and the bumps. For those who don't know, there is an actual road course here at New Hampshire that is the bikes. The MotoGP guys run this track. Well, it might not be exactly that series, but basically the MotoGP guys. So they go into the infield here, and then they come out across the track, out to the outside of the track, and there's bumps right here in the turn 3 that can play a role.
And they really unsettle the car. You come down and you're trying to find your braking point, get turned in, and just as you're about to do that, the car is hopping through those bumps. I don't know that it's as modeled here in the sim, but it is disconcerting for the drivers that come through. There's also some bumps in the middle of 1 and 2, especially on the exit of 2 coming up, that if you catch them the right way, they can unsettle the car. But right now, I feel like if they can run a handful of laps, Chris, and get settled in, that they will get single file, and then you're going to race the car in front of you, the car behind you, and race the racetrack and settle in and get some laps in.
See this battle for second going on is Justin Fuller to the inside of Comstock. He'll take that spot away. So what are you guys seeing out here so far, Bobby, Justin? This is everybody's kind of getting settled down, it looks like.
Yeah, it seems like Mojica and then the rest of the field is in a good battle, where it's like I'm waiting on some pitch strategy to see if we're gonna have to force Mojica to get back through the field or anything.
Well, they got 3 sets of tires. They got 100% fuel, and Kevin, I don't know if you got a chance to run NIS this weekend. I was like way off last night on the fuel strategy, thinking they would be short, but I was off. So it should be about, what, 80 to 85 laps, I would think?
Yeah, you know, I can't tell you because the race I ran went so long that time expired.
That makes sense.
Have you ever had that happen?
An NIS at New Hampshire race? Nah, never.
Yeah, it's almost like running Martinsville sometimes. So I thought, yeah, I think you're right, about 85 laps or so.
There you go.
Let me see if I have that in my notes.
Little Larry,
Yeah,
Larry Mack pit fuel window, but I like, you know, the rest of the field seems like they're settling down. You know, maybe there's a consensus amongst Discord. Hey, let's
oh no!
Oh, hold on.
Cal and Tony, I think he saved it. They both saved it.
Who's that?
Your boy.
Your boy, he stepped out, got sideways in the middle of 1 and 2, got tagged.
We gotta put the chat on him.
Well, I don't think there was any kind of intent or anything. I think Anthony got loose. I'm trying to find the replay here real quickly. I think Anthony gets loose, and Kevin just had nowhere to go and got in the back of him. Yeah, right there. Anthony gets loose, and then bam. Actually, they might not even touched. It was close, though. Coleman's like,
as a
thank
racing
you.
fan, I don't do logic. We're just gonna blame the other guy.
That's fair. I mean, everybody blames Ross Chastain, it seems like, so why not? Let's blame Ross for this one.
Oh no! 84 got loose.
Or Lance Stevenson maybe blew on the left rear of the car. Bad basketball joke. I sorry.
Not a bad run for him still, though. Good recovery, still running 11th. Wesley Donaldson just slipped underneath. Now he comes back across the stripe as 13th, but still in the top 15. And he's got to have a little patience here. Bet he made those tires a little bit angry.
I was going to say, yeah.
Across the racetrack, that's really pretty bad here at this place. Tend to wear your left rear out. Left rear tire wear makes a car step out on throttle, and Yeah, I look at these guys, and what I'm interested in is how are they going into turn number one, especially. That makes such a difference as to how you're going through. Right now, everybody's running middle to high through 1 and 2.
Yeah, you see some cars going up in that darker section. I talked about that. I know they said today in like real life, and even when I was watching practice Saturday, as I had to cover it for front stretch. Those guys, they said you get up in that dark section, it was like on ice. Where here in iRacing, as you see one car sliding up the track a little bit there, that's Derek Myers. There is actually a little bit of grip up there that you can carry off with and get the run down to straightaway here. Not that suggested, but yeah, you see a lot of cars. Looks like they're, maybe some heavy brake. You almost got to drive it like a road course, I would think, Kev.
Yeah, right now everybody's kind of settled in single file. First double file race that I saw was Kevin Stone back there in 20th with Steve Ritter. Ritter just ducked underneath him, and now what you're trying to do is do your best to draw up to the car next to you and see if you can get a fender inside so you can execute the pass on turn entry. But yeah, this is where, when you get a little further into the run, your car is going to slip, it's going to slide, it's going to skate around. As we got one around right now, the
Eric
31 ways in turn 2.
Eric Arnold over in 2 goes Spinneroonie, and unfortunately brings out the third caution here. We'll have to see what happened to the 31. Did one of you guys throw something out? I was wondering if Justin or Bobby threw something out the window, maybe.
Oh. I wish I got mad after the 84 almost spun it, but let's see what happens.
Well, I
here.
mean, you and about 20 viewers. Oh, just he got on that bottom. That's what that bottom. It just de-wedges the car around. Everybody, whoa, aboard ship.
Guess what car was closest to him though? The 41.
Oh, well.
We're going to have to keep a score sheet for that. Although he didn't have anything to do with it, but I think he might have turned it down just a little bit left there. Chris trying to stay off the 43, even though he really wasn't that close.
Yeah, that's well, yeah, he sends it in really deep right there. As you see, Doug got in kind of light. He gets in. Well, you know what? His right side is sitting up on the other banking, and it de-wedged the car. Pedro talked about it a little bit ago that you do not want to do that because obviously it shifts the weight to the front, and when the right rear's light, it wants to spin around. So, as we have some pit stops. You talked about pit strategy, boys. Here you go. Justin Fuller on pit road. Kevin DeBrown, Glenn Campbell. And it looks like about 8 or so cars going to come to pit road here. And I think I'm going to see, I'm just looking here, I think some tires, potentially. But you know what? Here, for you boys, too. Let me do this also. And for all the viewers here, I will share the live timing that I always like to share with you guys. So you can see everything I'm seeing, except you can modify it your way. Pretty cool little deal there. You can click on that link that posts right about now. All right, so let's talk a little racing here. Now, Justin, for you being from Jersey, and obviously, Kev, you could probably relate to this a little bit there. I know a few tracks up in that area. Of course, the immediate one that keeps playing in my head is Islip Speedway in Riverhead. I know Islip's not open anymore. Riverhead's still open. I know you got a few tracks. You said Trenton, or not Trenton, that's an older track. But what's Flemington, right? It's the one where Kev raced at.
Flemington's no longer there, but
right.
We have New Egypt, and where we were Saturday night, saw us on Flow Racing Bridgeport Speedway down across from Philadelphia.
Justin, any of those sound familiar? Any of those you've been to, or?
New Egypt, I'm familiar with, and then also I really wanted to go. I know the Wheel and Modifieds were just at Wall. They
yes.
were at Wall Township.
Yes, Wall Stadium, correct.
So that was a good race. I know Anthony was there. So actually, one of the things I'll share a content idea that I have.
Oh,
that's a buzzword in our.
I like content ticket. Yes.
I kind of hate it sometimes, but an idea that I have is going to a lot of these kind of local tracks, like Wall's obviously the easy one that kind of comes to mind. New Egypt's another one, where I want to follow and film almost like a little mini documentary on what a race team has to do in a given weekend or on a given night. Kind of just getting through, whether it's heat races, whether it's multiple races, whether it's an entire weekend full of, and I want to cover local local racing, because I don't fully know a ton about it. Like Bobby knows definitely more than I do. But more than just, hey, like here's NASCAR where you can cover it, you can talk about races, recap races. That's like a part of it of like getting into racing stuff. But I have like this desire to take people at John Boy Media. Let's bring some cameras, let's bring some microphones, and follow a race team as they go through an entire kind of night, an entire kind of race, and interview them and stuff like that. Almost make like mini documentaries out of.
All right, let's go.
short track.
I know more than enough race teams to take.
I was gonna say he's the guy to talk to. Kevin knows some people up there in Jersey, so unfortunately I haven't had the connections yet. I'm trying to get to that point, but yeah, Kevin's done plenty of racing there up in that area, so that might be something you guys have to talk about there after the broadcast. As Mojica leads them back to the green, so the first car on tires as we go back to green here at lap 30 is going to be Justin Fuller in the 19th position. So we're going to watch and see if he can get some track position here. Because one thing I've learned about New Hampshire, and whoa, hold on there. Was that Mike Kelly getting loose?
No, that was Fuller down there on the apron. The car with tires.
Oh, so we had him getting loose too. Well, Kelly got loose off of 2 up front there, and now he's almost getting hit by Chad Coleman. But I was just about to mention the one thing I remember about this track, and I don't know if the build is different, but after a certain amount of laps, these tires kind of even out.
Yeah. There was a moment over there in turn 3 for Derek Myers. He missed the turn in and slid way up high in the outside groove. Avoided making contact with that outside wall, but dropped a couple positions back to 14th as he follows E.J. O'Rourke. He was near the 41 when it happened, just to make people know.
Oh, and E.J.'s in the wall.
Oh my gosh.
Him and Simley did a great job of checking up.
Wait, did I do that?
Oh, Simley, I don't know if that was a I'm not happy with you type of like slow up there or what that was, but EJ heavy damage, then about gets run over by Ritter. That's gotta he's gotta have a
coming up off the corner, bang the wall, and Simley had no place to go.
I'll say I'm surprised he's not got something broken on that car.
No.
I was about to say too about the 41. I saw 41 like +9, +10 since since a couple laps ago. I was saying, oh, he's coming all the way up the field after the early wreck, and man, and I think this is the second time tonight where I was thinking about something that was like an announcer's jinx.
So speaking of announcers jinx, I'm sure your partners there at John Boy are gonna have fun with this one. I saw the video today of the Yankees ending last night, and how the guy, whoever was calling the game, caution out.
Yeah, caution now.
Simley
3.
Zach came talking about the Yankees without something happening. Sounds like real life. Simley goes around, brings out the caution. So where I was going with this is the guy calling the game on the Yes Network. It wasn't what's the usual guy. Of course, his name slips my mind right now.
Michael K.
Michael K. Thank you.
Clarity.
Yeah. So he says that the batter is like over, or he's not hit a home run in his 120 at bats. And as soon as he got the word bats out, pow.
5 seconds, less than 5 seconds later, home run. Game.
Ends the game.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he didn't even have to end his sentence. He like said it and then he just finished it with "until now, home run."
Perfect call. Caution out. Let's see what happened to Simley as
Car just stepped out on him.
you wonder if maybe Scott was just a little irritated maybe from the situation with EJ. He gets in there pretty high. Oh yeah. Oh, broken bottle of beer. I mean,
It could just be one of those situations where he's out of his rhythm.
yeah.
You know how that takes shakes you? He did a great job stopping. He really didn't run into the back of the 41, so I don't think he had any damage to the car, but unfortunately he just got into that lazy slide and then eventually got away from him.
So fourth caution here. Let's actually step away for a quick second and let's hear from our sponsors, 811, as you're watching the Talkin Giants 150 from New Hampshire Motor Speedway on the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere. and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
All right, back we are here as we got a chance to take a drink and get ourselves reset here. Got 112 laps to go in this Talkin Giants versus the World 150. And, you know, it's funny. Maybe, Kevin, I think we should do this. As one of their people, I'm going to throw them out here real quickly out on the ledge. They want to hear Bobby and Justin call a race, so should we let them have fun here for a second?
Yes. Yep, we're going to step aside. Go for it.
Have fun, boys.
This is better than Crank It Up. All right, we're off to the start. We got Pedro Mojica leading off in first, as he has been the entire race, leading every lap.
Clean field, that's all Mojica's seen so far. Tyler Dalton's going to poke his nose. David Comstock side by side. Tyler Dalton gets a little sideways.
It's such a weird track where it's, you know, usually it's like, hey, outside, slow in, speed out, and then the opposite on the inside where it's just like, it's almost like stop and go, like all the way through the corner, herky-jerky.
Something that weird tangent. NASCAR 07 was the NASCAR game that I played.
Total team control.
And I remember the grooves as we're seeing cars spin out and kind of lose their wheels, lose tires, spin out. The different grooves that are in New Hampshire between kind of that bottom row. It's almost like, think of like you're on like a mile and a half or intermediate track, and if you get your tires down in like, you know, the lower part of the track and you lose the car. It's almost like that, except you think that it's so easy to just run near that bottom, and cars are kind of losing it right now.
I think this is the most laps we've went with the.
Oh, somebody's spinning.
Oh, there you
we
go.
got to spin in the back. We got to spin in the back. My first announcer, Jinx.
Well done. Derek Myers goes around, brings out the 5th caution over here, the 39 car. Well done, boys. Now I got mixed up. You said 07. 06 is total team control.
Yes.
07 was like the beginning of the.
Pullback?
That was a good pull. Now, unfortunately, the console games go downhill from there because then you had 08 and 09, which were like slot cars. But. All right, what happened to Myers? Obviously, he went for a spin, it looks like. That's Mojica.
Gotta tell the back of the pack. Let's get it together, boys.
Well, that's usually how it goes, like in standings too of like sports. You know, you're in the back, you're down the bottom of the standings. All right, we got to work out of here, boys. Somebody's gonna get canned here soon. Trying to see. You know what? There's that again. So I don't know. You know, as we got some cars. You know what? Let's cover the pit stops real quick, and I'll describe this wreck a little bit, hopefully to where everybody can understand it. I mean, not to talk to anybody like they're dumb, but you know, we got people that are learning racing terminology, so I'll have to talk about.
Analytics come in the chat.
And Doug Analytics, he's actually loving the live stats apparently too. And then you got Bucky. Is it Bonky? Bonky Calatoni.
Yeah. Oh, I love Bunk. How you doing, Bunk?
Please tell me his nickname is Archie.
It's Bunk.
Wait, these guys probably weren't around for Archie Bunker. Neither was I, but hey.
Oh, we know Archie.
Okay, good.
Well, I'm aware.
Race off pit road won by Mike Kelly. Good stop on his end. Looks like looking for Mike here on the timing and scoring because some people have come to pit road, some people haven't. It's getting all mixed up. Kelly with 4 tires, so good stop on his end. What's this Bobbert guy saying? You have a nickname too?
I think Doug's just trying to talk trash. So we had a wreck in the back.
Okay. Yep.
I want to ask you this question, Chris. I
Yeah.
know you do some writing. As a Wood Brothers 21 fan, what am I supposed to do about Harrison?
Oh man.
Even like in Atlanta, he qualified good, and I told myself, I was like, don't even get excited because something bad's going to happen. And what do you know? He spins by himself on lap 8 of the race. Are we stuck with him because of the funding, or will the Woods Brothers, like, is he going to get better? What am I to do as a Wood Brothers fan? I'm hoping for Zane Smith.
I think be patient. I think be patient. Now, obviously, like we were talking a little bit off the air, Kev obviously has got a lot of insight into like the modified scene and people up there in the north side. I haven't had a chance yet to get out to tracks or get to know people. I'm more communicating with the guys that are a part of the team and seeing what they're saying about things. And we've had plenty of discussions about Harrison Burton, plenty. And let's just put it like this: I would not be surprised if Burton is not in that car next season. And you could see a Zane Smith in that car. The Josh Berry situation kind of put a twist on everything because obviously you had a guy that was not really looked at as a top prospect. And then Chase decides to go out there and get in a fight with the snow and breaks his leg. Josh Berry gets the opportunity, gets a couple good finishes, yes, through strategy, but you know, he went out there and earned those finishes. And then gets in Bowman's car, does a good job. He all of a sudden gets the 4 ride. So I think there's plenty of slots here where you could see people fall. And I think Zane Smith could be a possibility in that 21 car. I think
he goes to the 10.
I think Todd Gilliland could be a spot for that 21 car. I think the 10, I think, is a possibility. But let me rebuttal with this. Tony Stewart just came out this week and said that he is totally against young people being in the cars. That's why you notice Josh Berry's over 30 in that car. Ryan Preece over 30 in the car. Eric Almirola is 40. He doesn't bring the young guys in, and I think that's part of the reason Cole Custer went back to Xfinity. So
you got to wonder if there starts to become a trend where they start going towards more. I know the funding and stuff, but
right.
I mean, with Ross Chastain's success and others, it's almost you think not giving the chance to the 29, 30-year-olds is going to start maybe coming back into style a little bit.
I think it's the right way to go. I say that from the stance of you look at some of these like Noah Gregsons who have absolutely struggled in the Cup car. And I think it's 2 and 3 wide. Here's a mess for you. Dalton on the outside. This is where the tires are coming into play now. So some of these guys are on tires. Some of these guys not so much. And you see where tire strategy coming into play. We should note this. Pedro Mojica, somebody locked him up there.
He hasn't pitted yet.
Mojica is not pitted yet.
I knew it. Down at the bottom.
Oh, somebody's spinning. Yep, good call. That is Chad Coleman. The Iron Man goes around. He must have dropped a drink or something.
Just not going to work down there. And I'm really surprised to see the amount of drivers that are choosing to run down there, kind of coming into the race thinking that as we're still green.
Yeah, we're still green. No caution came out there. He stayed. Yeah, and the reason why is there's certain points on the track that trigger cautions in iRacing, and I think he was too far off. Now, and what's going on with the track here is a lot of these guys, they're racing hard with the fresher tires. They're getting down on the lower banking of the track, which is that bottom line where the yellow line up to that first seam is. And what the car is doing is de-wedging. So basically, picture yourself getting on when you're traveling down the highway into many construction zones you probably see, and you get on the road that's got the higher elevation of pavement, and you notice how the car kind of dances. Kind of the same thing there as Montesi went up the hill a little bit there. Basically, the car is, oh, somebody said that's Myers into the wall. Clobbers Eric Arnold.
But the 84 got banged up a little bit too.
Uh-oh. Myers gets towed. And this is the 6th caution already. Eric Arnold, heavy damage.
That all started back there when Montesi went high. He was able to just keep it in the throttle and drive the car down. And I'm not sure what Derek did there, but Derek, watching him, maybe lost the line. The car stepped out, and he did exactly what happened earlier. The car went left, and then all of a sudden just swung right, came back across.
Yeah, let's see. You see Montesi goes up the hill. He's got the 30 car there, Macklin below him. Oh, yeah, he gets loose, and then he just dead rights it. Unfortunately, I think Dalton got a piece of that, too. To answer Doug's questions, there are 31 cars started this race. So, yeah, 30 on track. Going to be a little less now, unfortunately. All right, now Pedro, Comstock, Beasley, all going to give up the track position here at lap 50. So we're at the 1/3 mark. A lot of people coming in here. So we got strategy all over the place here.
Yeah, now it's gonna get really interesting with different tire cycles and leaders in the back and all that.
But the one thing I remember, you see Derek here. I'm trying to see if they Eddie Clobbers, Doy Woods. You know what? I think Anthony missed it. I think you got a good view of it, though. Let's watch this. Let's go on board with AC here in the 84. As soon as I find his positioning here, 11th spot.
Yeah, he got it locked down. He was able to.
Ow.
That's a great piece of driving right there.
Woo. What caught me? He was in 4th gear down the straightaway.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that. You would run 4th gear here. A lot of times these drivers are running 4th gear. They could run 5th, but when you come up off the corner, you're in the chip at the end of the straightaway, which means you're at the rev limiter.
Right.
But you don't have to shift into 5th if you don't want to. You can run 4th all the way around here.
Interesting.
Oh, they were even showing today how, drivers were going down into 3rd in the middle of the corner, and they were talking about grip. It's not necessarily about horsepower with these cars, but they were talking about how it was the, it's the grip, and that's the main incentive to kind of shift down. So do we think these guys are staying in 4th kind of all throughout, or do we think some of them are shifting down to 3rd and then, going up to 4th on these straightaways?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm thinking they're probably, especially here, they haven't gone long enough to go to 3rd gear. But the thing about this car that's different than the real life car is this car is still kind of got the whole, when you go down a gear, you get the higher revs, which creates wheel spin. Where the real life cars, it seems like you said, it downshifts and it brings grip to the car. Which I kind of found kind of contradicting to what this car does. Because you downshift, you go on any track right now and you downshift in this car, the car gets free. It wants to spin out. Where it seems like you get out there on the racetrack today, like you said, or in any track, you downshift down. It's like, all right, let's fire off the corner and go.
I found that if you run 4th, by the time you get to the 2/3 mark of the straightaway, pop up into 5th, you can get a little more RPM going in. And then when you downshift going into the corner, if you're not on the razor's edge, it's almost like an engine brake. And I think if these guys could get free, meaning lined up nose to tail, that little extra horsepower would pay dividends for them, and you would see them go to 5th. But otherwise, we did hear drivers talking about just staying in 4th. And one of the things that plays into that factor is whether or not you're running that high line. Because if you run the low line, you're making a shorter path around the racetrack. As the pace car goes in, Now we see Justin Fuller out front for the first time as Pedro went in for tires. And we got a new leader bringing them down for the green.
Which reminds me, let's try to clean up everything here that's going on in this race. So Justin Fuller leads. He pitted at lap 26. He's got Kevin DeBrown on his sort of outside right now as they battle here off turn 2. Nelson Rivera, according to my timing and scoring, is still not pitted. So Rivera there running third is on the same tires he started with. And then you've got Mike Kelly, who's the first one to pit on 42, is running fourth. And then it's kind of mixed up a little bit, some 26s, some 42s. Pedro Mojica just pitted at that caution. He is at laps in the 16th position now in the inside lane. So he's kind of in this hornet's nest now and has to be very careful where you see Doy drop it to the middle there, 3 wide. Kevin Stone up top. There's some more 3 wide up there as Montesi's out of shape. I think Pedro needs to just kind of close his eyes and hope for the best here for a few minutes.
Yeah, Montesi locked it up and bottled everybody up, and Pedro went down to the south left lane, just drove by everyone.
All right, here's
Picked up 4 cars there.
Kevin. I got a good question here as Mr. Analytics is coming with some analytical questions. Justin, this one's for you. As a new racing fan, explain racing strategy in the terms of football. What's the equivalent of a 20-plus yard explosion or explosive play? Oh, that car in the wall.
Oh. I mean, I will say, the equivalent to an explosive play. I mean, when I see a nice slide job that maybe gains a couple spots, or even I'll even say this, quick pit stop.
Okay.
You know,
Yep.
I can't tell you, getting on and off pit road, especially if we're talking about whether it's under caution or whether it's we're green flag racing. The amount of time that you can gain with the good pit crew and then even just a little bit of good luck of getting on and off pit road, the amount of time that you can gain, and if you want a short pit, kind of get a jump on tires. So if I would say, I'm big on explosive plays in football. I love seeing those 20-plus yard plays and how they lead to scoring, or even if you score on explosive plays themselves. So I would say pitch strategy, and maybe a little slide job driving it in deep in the corner.
I like that because you know what? As you said that, I'm thinking about this myself. Would a all green race like last night at Chicago be like the defensive battle maybe, and you just need the one big play to potentially get up there to the lead or something on a pit stop or something like that? That makes a lot of sense as I think about it.
Boom. Boom.
And restart too. We can add that one in there. Good call, La Murala. I'm not good at my Spanglish right now. So Mojica's worked his way up to the 11th position. And there's Doy Woods, their 13th spot, as he battles with Stoney Benfield. Stoney got his viewers watching tonight. Appreciate you guys who are joining us in the chat for, of course, cheering on Mr. Benfield. And, of course, we're being joined tonight, Justin Pennick and Bobby Skinner, part of the Talkin Giants versus the World podcast, which is a football podcast you can see on John Boy Media. A lot of the stuff on YouTube, you can see, a little netcode contact there. You can see a lot of the John Boy stuff on YouTube. I was telling Justin off the air, and I've mentioned it a couple times when interviewing. Hi, Jose, by the way. I've learned that's who that is. I've found John Boy just randomly one night, just looking at baseball highlights, and the one that always comes to my mind is the video of Amir Garrett when he decides to take on the whole entire. I think was it the Cardinals or the Cubs? I can't remember. When he goes 1-on-25 with the Cardinals, or it was the Cardinals, I think, as I think about it now, when he was with the Reds.
I don't know if you've seen the Leroy Jenkins video.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But if you have, you got to go see the Amir Garrett with the Leroy.
Oh,
Jenkins
no.
video over top of it, because it's maybe the best dubbing of audio I've ever seen.
That's a must. I'm about to see that after this race. Kevin, do you know who Leroy Jenkins is?
I don't.
So basically, there's a video of a guy. They're all standing around. They're playing a video game. I forget which one it is, but they're all playing a video game, and they're sitting there strategizing, like they're on a team, and they're going to strategize going into the castle to fight people or whatever. And all of a sudden, this guy yells randomly, "Leroy Jenkins," in like this Leroy type mode, and just goes in there, and everybody on the team's like, "Oh, what just happened?" And they all go running in there with him, and
It's basically Ty Gibbs dumping Brandon Jones.
there you
Okay.
go. There you go.
Like, team, let's work this together. Ty Gibbs goes Leroy Jenkins and dumps Brandon Jones.
Speaking of Leroy, Pedro Going Leroy inside of Calantoni here for the ninth position, Kev. These tires, I don't know. These guys might have hit the money pitting at lap 50 because this is where they're going to get the most out. Because what I think happens here a lot at New Hampshire is these guys that pitted at 42 and 26, their cars are kind of evening out tire-wise and to get those cycles on them. These guys got the newer tires, and they seem to be able to move up.
Yeah, as you look at these guys, Pedro is definitely on the march, and this is the type of racetrack he wants to see. Single file, one by one. He's really getting up off the corner. You could see him close on the car next to him, draws alongside. He can get that nose underneath on entry to the corner. Car on the outside lane almost has to yield. He could float up through the middle and not lose any ground, and then he drives it off fast off of the corner. And I'm trying to figure out if he's shifted into fifth or not. I don't know that I can see him doing that.
We shall ride on board with Pedro right now, fourth gear. How patient he is before he rolls back to the throttle.
Left side tires just
There's fifth for a second.
right by those white lines.
Yeah. He's literally right where he said, remember in the interview earlier, he said he wanted to run right between. And that's exactly where he is, between the two seams.
Yeah, so he's getting that little bit of a juice out of that run at the end by going up to fifth and then slowing the car down. You can't really downshift that well when you're hard under braking. You almost have to brake, wait till you lift on the brake, and then as you start to pick up the throttle, just before that, you could blip it down to fourth, and that lets you pick up the RPM and drive it off the corner.
Yeah, it's a very tricky thing to do if you're somebody who, I mean, especially me, when I drive a road car or something, if I'm out there in a GT3 or something, I'm one that I straight line brake, which is basically I brake and do most of my work before I turn into the corner. Where you get a lot of these good drivers, they can do it all at one time. I mean, I can barely tie one of my shoes at once.
Watch Joey Katina
Yeah, they're dancing.
having a good run in the number 14, running 12th right now in the Chesterton Mustang. He had a nervous moment over there before when Pedro got underneath him and then another car got by, but right now he's settled in. He's got a little space around him, and that's kind of what you want. If the car is a little evil, although I don't know that I'd want to look in that rearview mirror and see Doy Woods closing in. But right now, if he gets a little breather, he can gather his, time, and that little space allows you to try and work on your line a little bit. When you're right in tight where everybody's next to you, you're just trying to make the corner. But when you have a little space, a little clean air, then you can focus on running quicker lap times. As I see the 13 of David Comstock starting to make a little bit of a run here.
You see the guys here, Justin and Bobby, these guys fighting on this wheel. A lot of that is obviously on throttle. I think Comstock's got fresher tires there as he kind of got moved up the track a little bit there. But, well, until then, I was about to say Joey's pretty smooth, but the back end said otherwise right there.
He just seemed to have a little too much throttle coming up off the corner, and he was like one of those moments where, come on, turn.
Right.
Oh.
And then finally it turns. Oh, somebody got loose right in front there.
Wow.
Chad Coleman again having issues.
Lately, Chad just has lost his mojo. I mean, he's still not running bad, but usually he's solid as a rock, and he's had some of those nervous moments here and there for the last couple races we've seen him. Now they're tight here. This little group, tight nose to tail. Comstock coming through. You got Coleman and Chatina running side by side. Right in front of him, Cal Tony's there. The 91 of Donaldson's in the mix. Pedro's still trying to get by, but he's got Dalton and the 44 of Glenn Campbell running side by side, which isn't going to help matters for him. He's going to make it through wide here. Nope, thinks better of it.
Nice battle here, though. This has been a lot of fun to watch back here.
Yeah, this is
The
good.
field seems to separate themselves a little bit, especially the top four. And even Nelson Rivera. I mean, we mentioned a little
caution.
while ago, he hasn't pit.
Sorry.
Time I'm talking.
It happens. Stony Benfield goes around. Doesn't look like he hit anything.
That's a big break for. I was just about to say Nelson Rivera, though he hasn't pit yet.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big break for him.
I think it's a great call. I think for him, and I think people like Fuller, Kevin DeBrown, I think here they're going to look at. Now, here's the problem. They pitted so early, I don't know if they could take tires right now because they would be at one set to still run the second half of this race because we're at the halfway point right now of this race. So I think everybody's almost staying out here or at least not taking tires here.
No, smoke them if you got them. I think they're going to take them because you never know if it could run green all the way to the end. And so you don't want to leave them there in this racetrack and with as many laps left. I'm not sure, Chris. We'll see.
I don't know, Coach. 4th and 1 at your 35. What are we doing here?
Punt it. Justin Lowe is always go for it guy, but you got to punt it.
Yeah, that's what everybody's doing. It looks like they're punting for tires. So it's either you go for it and go without the tires or punt for the tires, and that's what they're doing.
I wonder what happened to the faster passer in the back.
Yeah, we're going to see that here in a second.
Looked like he got a little high in 3 and 4, and then when he was trying to carry the momentum, not as fast as Mr. Beasley wanted.
All right. Doug keeps it up. I'm about to bring up a play that New York ran in recent history that I'm just going to be like, that all of us probably looked at the screen like, really?
Joe Judge QB sneak. I know. I already
You
know.
knew where I'm going. He said QB Neal. That's why I looked at. Come on, Doug.
The Joe Judge QB sneak was it's literally the worst football we ever watched.
Oof.
I'm sure these drivers.
Beasley got into him.
Yeah, Beasley tagged. I just don't think that he anticipated the 75 not carrying the speed off the corner.
You wonder if maybe Beasley was just tight trying to get the front end of grip, like you said.
Beasley was down. I think what happened is the pastor slid up, and then when he tried to recover, he eased out of it. And when he came off the corner here, he just wasn't carrying as much speed.
Yep. Misjudged, just like Richard said in chat just now. Misjudged.
Yeah.
Accidents happen. Good save on everybody's part there. So, all right, so a couple cars have decided to go for it on 4th down here. So Doy Woods and Jeff Ryan have stayed out. Gentlemen, your thoughts on this one?
Doy Woods has some speed. I'm interested to see how long he can hold the field off.
That's his 7th caution of the night.
Yes.
We had a bunch of rash right from the beginning, but we had some long green flag runs there in these last couple stints. I think, maybe patience will run out as we get closer to the end, but I don't know that everybody's on the chip yet, being at the halfway point. I think they're going to wait a little bit, but of course, half the field has, 3/4 of the field, if not more, have fresh tires. The only 3 that stayed out were Doy, Jeff, and Stoney.
Now, let me hit you with this little factoid. Last season, this race saw 10 cautions for 38 laps. It was 10 laps shorter. Yeah, we had 10 cautions in this race. But I remember a certain particular race that happened a couple weeks ago that had some wrecks at the beginning, and then Kevin went out on a limb and said, "This is it."
Not tonight.
I'm taking the over.
No, not tonight.
I tried.
No, I think these guys are going to be up on a wheel here. I think it'll be full fender contact from here on in.
41's been off pace. They've been
a little
they've been doing
further.
A lot of green flag laps.
Yeah. See, Stoney Benfield, he has stayed out here too after that
I
little
don't know
spin.
if Jeff Ryan's car has been that snug for him, and on worn tires with hard charges behind him, that's the one I'm
Worried
gonna
about?
be a little concerned about.
Yeah, I agree. And already Fuller up the middle. Oh, 811 sandwich.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
they're going to save it. Oh, I thought they were going to save it. Stoney's in. Oh, no. Big mess.
That's the parking lot.
Looking like the Chicago street race.
Pretty much. Comstock. Looks like Van Schaik. I saw Calantoni in there. I thought for a second that they were both going to save it.
That was 12 wheels are better than 4.
No kidding.
I don't know. And Justin drove out of that, did he not?
I think everybody pretty much drove away. Ryan was able to save it.
You had the 2 drivers on worn tires. Maybe their cars didn't take off, and
That's exact. Yeah, yeah. Justin got through there.
he just snowplowed his
Oh,
way through
Cal
them.
and Tony with the T-bone steak. Jatina, who's probably cussing up a storm in chat right now.
I bet.
So,
And
question here: could Justin have waited a little bit?
3 wide, not even halfway. You know that they're on old tires. I know it's a restart and you want to take advantage of it, but I don't know, man.
I'm just going to leave that one where it is because I know the answer to it.
I mean, unfortunately, there was a lot of 811 violence right there. Add holy.
If you only look at the outcome, that answers your question, really. You wrecked a quarter of the field. We know that they were going to be bad, but if you could have just had a little bit of patience, you'd have got them on the backstretch.
Hindsight's 2020, unfortunately. So 8th caution here, lap 79.
I look at someone like Doug Roth and Charles Van Schaik. They were just patiently biding their time out in the back, staying out of trouble, staying out of contact, keeping their cars in control. Now they're junk. Now they're wrecked. So I can't imagine that they're not going to look at that incident. Some crosswords.
Yeah, there's some interesting comedy. We might we might have to invite the boys after this race.
In the outside row.
We might have to invite the boys down there tonight after the race and let them hear the entertainment we talk about. Get the behind the scenes tour of everything here. So, hey, that's just the way it goes here. So,
yeah, there were definitely maybe a dozen cars involved.
so going back to the local short track story, I wanna hit that for a second. I know Justin, you brought the idea up. I think that something would be fantastic because especially at the local short tracks that maybe don't get a lot of TV time or whatever, you get those pro late models or the mods or anything like that. I think a trip for Justin maybe up to Oswego would be really cool for a super mod race. But you get down there in the infield or on the track, and I mean, I'm sure you'll find somebody real quickly. It's like, hey, yeah, come on over, and heck, you might end up helping him pit the car or something throughout the race or whatever. I think there's such a good
I
idea.
know more than a dozen race teams that I can introduce you to. We need to take you to Lincoln.
Chris, have you ever been to the Crash-O-Rama at Orlando Speed World?
I have never been to the Speed World. I've never been to Bithlow. The only tracks I really have been to are the big ones, Daytona and Homestead. To be honest, it was one of those things when I was younger. I just never thought to go to tracks. I mean, I kind of wanted to, but just never did.
We got to get you the Crash-O-Rama this year, Friday after Thanksgiving. My brother enter into a couple of the races, which he usually does.
Okay.
That crash, I've always Crash-O-Rama has. I've never advocated for something to my friends before more. They're like, well, I don't know if I'm like, go one time, and I promise you'll want to go every
So
time.
I assume this is a destruction derby.
Yeah, Night of Destruction, but they do like 10 to 12 different events.
Crazy. As we go back green, Doy Woods, Justin Fuller. We'll have to see what kind of damage he has here. Update on the drivers. Callan Tony looks like a lap down. Eric Arnold a lap down, but they're both on track. Able to keep it going, so we'll see what kind of damage they have here. And you wonder, sooner or later here, the calmness, I think, is going to show up. I mean, we're looking, I say that as Chad Coleman goes up to track it up. There it goes. Coleman and Glenn Campbell.
Hey, green.
All right.
Yeah, this is what I anticipated. I think we're going to have a little bit of this, and then at some point it'll settle out. If they get spread out, right? That's what we need to see.
That's the 9th caution now, and for Coleman, 2nd in points involved in this.
And this, I think, is one of those byproducts drivers checking up to try and make sure that they can get into the corner and just different braking points.
Yep.
I don't think Chad anticipated, but looking at the 44 going in there, he would have made it 3 wide if he'd have charged the outside. Going outside of Pedro, he probably did a little math there and decided against it, but the 38 didn't get the memo.
Stoney Benfield went for a lazy spin there also. Nice job by a few of those to miss. So
that was a huge hit for Glenn Campbell. That's really unfortunate because he was having a solid run tonight.
So are you boys aware of the equipment that is used on these sims? I mean, obviously they use wheel and pedals, the basic stuff, but are you aware of the force feedback and all these different things that these guys use?
No, I'm really not. I was Googling.
Hey, Calentoni gets a lucky dog.
What did see there you go, lucky dog. See what the setup for a rig is, and I feel like they just vary so much between said wheel and pedals to some of these setups are just insane.
Well, if you go back to when COVID was around, I mean it's still kind of around, but when it first kicked in, and Fox and NASCAR did the whole series of races where all the races were online. They showed a lot of the rigs, and I mean, you had Timmy Hill look like was racing on, like I am right now, a computer desk with a basic G29 or 27 wheel, if I remember correctly, and then you had Denny Hamlin racing on this monstrosity of a rig that his daughter unplugged the one time. But so basically, you got these guys. They actually race with force feedback and stuff. So basically, when these guys are turning their wheel, they're actually feeling the car through the wheel, kind of like you're driving a real car. So think about these hits that these guys are taking with the wheel doing what it does.
Anybody break their wrist in an iRacing crash?
I've heard of people getting hurt from it. Yes. Now me, I don't have feedback, but that's just how I like to race. But there's so many different things out there. There's an item I've had it actually once called a butt kicker, a big time company out there that is they got this thing that pretty much you put on your seat and it shakes like the rumble of the car as you're in it. There's so many different things. I mean, you got people building rigs and spending thousands of dollars to have all these features and use 17 monitors, obviously being a little facetious, to get set up so they have telemetry, triple screen so they can look to the left, look to the right. Kev, don't you use triples?
I have triples, yeah.
So triples basically is Kevin can be in his car right now. He could look over to his left monitor and look out the left side of his car. To the right side, look out the right side of his car. I mean, people use...
There's a streamer, this is very particular, but he's pretty popular. Jeff Favignano.
I've heard the name.
So he does a lot of American Truck Sim stuff, and he'll show his whole setup, and he has this thing that's right in front of his face, and as he turns left, as he turns right, I mean, so does his camera as he's playing the game, which is crazy and wild stuff. So
like a VR type.
I love all this stuff. I will literally watch iRacing, and I will watch American Truck Sim where people are just driving a truck for a couple hours, and I'll love it.
Have you caught me doing this yet? I actually do truck sim myself, but that's a whole nother. As Dory Woods leads him back. Yeah, matter of fact, I think there's people out there that actually have truck rigs too built.
We did it at Daytona, but it was Daytona, so you just floor it the whole way around, and we were only doing qualifying laps.
Right.
But yeah, I want to try and get the real experience of it eventually.
Yeah, well, up caution out again as in the back, O'Rourke, Doug Roth.
Oh no.
I thought I saw Coleman's name again, but let's see. But yeah, go on. Let's keep the conversation here. So, I think obviously you got so many experiences out there you can do to get the real life experience. I think maybe a trip for you guys to the Hall of Fame would be cool. The NASCAR Hall of Fame there in Charlotte. Because you could actually get into a car and run iRacing laps. Oh, Ross sent it in there and got in the back of Wesley. And then, unfortunately, EJ just gets in there.
Yeah, he wasn't looking.
At the hall, I know you can actually get into you can get into like a car. It's obviously not a car, but it's like a car kind of setup. And,
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure the whole body shakes and moves.
Oh
and
yeah, yeah. I've
like
done.
that.
I've
They let
done.
you get in the sim at the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I've done the Hall of Fame. Yeah, you get into a sim and you literally climb in and you've got everything around you, the wheels shaking, and I was running laps at Martinsville, if I remember correctly. This poor lady, nobody wanted to race against me for some reason. I don't know if I smelled or something, but the poor lady that works for the place jumps in the car and races against me. I was lapping her like every other lap at Martinsville. I guess she didn't realize I actually raced on iRacing. So I actually pitted purposely to kind of let her look like she was gaining on me or something, and then came back out. But yeah, you do all that. You do actual pit stops. You can practice that outside the car. There's so many cool features about that place. It's right there in Uptown or Downtown, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we did a live show in Charlotte last year at the truck race.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I do want to go there again, but non-Daytona event I go to, I want to go and spend the whole week down there and immerse everything. So I think Charlotte would be a cool one to do.
Charlotte is, I kind of say NASCAR right now, they currently have everything kind of flipped backwards, where with the old car, the short track race and stuff was really good. And I think they might have figured, at least this is me as like a casual / not casual fan, says that I think NASCAR maybe thought that, oh, there's nothing that we're going to do that's going to ruin short track racing. And then lo and behold, I think they've they don't have short track racing right with the new car, but with the new car, they have the 1.5 mile right. So Charlotte is every single year. Like I started going to it, actually it was last year, where really long race, a ton of cautions, the first year of the new car, but it was so worth it. It was some of the best racing I've ever seen. And now this year we went back. The rain kind of delayed the whole weekend, but still it was great racing. So Charlotte is a track that I'm now going to every single year, and I really look forward to it. And Junior was actually on. I was listening to some of the stuff that the Junior download.
Yeah.
And he was speaking openly too about how NASCAR's got to be able to fix the short track racing, and it's not necessarily. He was talking about New Hampshire. It's like, oh, it's not just about what happens at New Hampshire, but I'm pretty sure I don't know if the rain delayed this. There are drivers that are staying behind, and they're testing a new short track package. I hope the rain did not delay.
Yeah, they canceled
Yeah,
it.
got canceled.
Well, they moved it, actually, is what they did. They moved it to Richmond. So it's actually going to be at
Good.
Richmond, I think, tomorrow and Wednesday or something. But yeah, apparently they've got something, quote unquote, extreme that they're going to try. And I wonder, I have some couple of guesses of what they're going to do, but I could be way off. One of my guesses is maybe they take that diffuser off in the back, which takes away a ton of downforce out of the car. But maybe they try lifting the car off the ground, because the biggest issue, they don't say this on TV, but there was a race in particular. I think it was the Richmond race last year. Chad Knaus was guest host with Fox, and he made the comment, and Clint Boyer about flew out of his shoes when he said it, because he was like, finally somebody said it. But he said this whole thing started when NASCAR decided to put the car on the ground.
Too much crap.
All right, here we go. Back to green. Toy Wood still leading here.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I actually was a fan of putting the car on the ground at first, but now with all these things behind it, I'm like, all right, I was once again wrong.
I heard something we were going to change the front diffuser, front splitter, and
Put the valence on it?
yeah, something up front. I'll tell you what, look at Brian Macklin sitting there quietly, fourth, third right now.
Yeah.
He's under the 2. Mike Kelly's been a while since
Oh,
he
hold
won
on,
one.
Nelson. He about lost it off the corner.
Yeah, these guys are on full court press up here, up front. They see that the laps are ticking off. If there's going to be cautions, they need to take the opportunity.
Yeah, for the lead here. Fuller to the inside. He's got Macklin right there. Well, one car spinning in the back, and that's going to bring the caution out. Eric Arnold goes around along with Glenn Campbell, and Campbell just decided to go full backwards into the wall. Might have a concussion. So Barbara Pinion mentioned boys on here, and I kind of said it too. You can go to the track in Charlotte there, drive a car on the track. There's some tracks out there that do. I know Rusty Wallace has an experience. I think Richard Petty, NASCAR, where you can go out there. I mean, you got to spend an arm and a leg. but you can go out there and run cars on the track, just out there driving. I mean, you're not at full tilt like 190 mile an hour in Charlotte, but you're out there at least getting the feel of driving a car at, what, 150 mile an hour maybe?
Yeah, I know they had the Richard Petty experience at Daytona. I don't know if they still do that. The most disappointed thing with our NASCAR, we did some of the NASCAR stuff, was pace laps at Daytona. I was so pumped to go like 150, 160 because we got there early to go in the pace truck. It's topped out at like 95 miles per hour, so that was pretty. I was like, okay, I drove faster getting here than. Like I was happy with everything except for that.
Don't say that too loudly. I mean, we traveling down 95, going 95.
I think Joseph says the fastest he's ever been in a vehicle was with me.
Yes, this is true.
Wow.
That's an everyday occurrence on Interstate 78 here in Jersey.
Well, that's true. Well, it's funny for
we were
me.
Late to the airport in Alabama, and I made sure we weren't late.
We were almost late to a flight. We were almost late to a flight in a rental car, and Bobby Skinner's like, I am gonna test every performance capacity of this rental car. And he certainly did.
And Justin trusted him.
Huh? Well,
I don't think he
I'm
had
here.
a choice.
The old crap bar was in full use, huh? Death grip.
I am here.
That's awesome. Great stuff. Great stuff. So, yeah, because you mentioned earlier, Bobby. I'm thinking of the tracks down there. So you got Bithlow, you've got Speedway. Now, I will say this: there is one bucket list like race immediately I want to get to. Like I want to get to tracks and cover racing and stuff like that. But there's one race that I want to get to like this year if I can, and it's one that not many people know about. But there is an event the day after Christmas up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It is, I think it's called like the Coliseum Clash or something like that. I forget what the actual name of it is. But they actually run the sprint cars inside the Allen County War Memorial Coliseum. Like midgets, like the Chili Bowl, if you will. And it's, I think Tony Stewart's ran there a couple times or whatever, but that's just one on my list. I don't know if it's an actual oval race or if it's a dirt. But like I've read about it a couple times. Like, man, I gotta go see this.
You're gonna see him race in the Boardwalk Hall in Atlantic City.
Okay.
Yes, I love those races.
That's a cool race. We've been there a good number of times. We've raced in that.
Chris, we grew up at New Smyrna Speedway.
Yes.
Racing out there. That was the main track that we raced, and then we raced Speed World here and there.
Yeah, because there's not much Florida-wise. There's really not many tracks. I hate to say that. Dirt tracks, there's a few. Like I think Ocala's got a dirt track, and
Volusia.
Of course Volusia. But yeah, I mean, you got New Smyrna's probably your one.
Yeah, Speed World, they don't run on that track anymore. I'm pretty confident, just because it doesn't make sense money-wise. They just use the drag strip.
Right.
Got a
So
couple of small tracks that don't get a lot of press down there, like Citrus County is pretty cool speed in Inverness, Florida.
So let's, I want to think about something here for a second. As we come to the green, we got 52 laps to go. A lot of these cars came to pit road at lap 73, which is 70. I'm looking at Doy Woods here, who pitted at lap 50.
47 laps ago, yeah.
Is there a chance Doy goes all the way on fuel here from lap 50?
With these cautions, it's possible, but he's got 48 laps on his too deep behind him that all have a lot of tires. I think if this thing runs green, he's going to be in a spot of trouble. Track position's hard to come by here. But right now, he's holding his own. Here comes Fuller looking down underneath out of turn number 4. He's going to draw alongside of him. Yeah, and I think that's all she wrote. When Fuller gets into turn 1, he's going to let it eat, and he'll be driving off out of turn number 2. Now Doy has to cover the ground and see if he can keep Kelly and Macklin and Kevin DeBrown, who is side by side with Macklin, rubbing up out of turn number 2. Yeah, shark in the water here. These guys are going to go after.
Looks like Pedro Mojica got by Tyler Dalton, and that was That was a battle that I was maybe kind of circling a little
He's
bit.
going to go 3 wide here at the start-finish line underneath Kevin DeBrown.
Here we go.
Macklin to the high side. These 3 will be able to do it. Right down on that yellow line on the exit. Oh, and they do touch coming off, but everybody keeps it straight.
Car going.
Keep it green.
Mow the grass.
Yeah, Montesi's gone off over here on the inside wall. Looks like he's got a... I can't tell if the left rear is broken or not, but that was just kind of a chain reaction deal there. But we stay green.
Pedro did not get that pass done. It's so hard down on the bottom when the car is pinched down to be able to get that run up off. You're just not able to carry the speed. Now he's back in the tire tracks of Kevin DeBrown. They're running side by side in front of him, which is the worst thing that can happen for him. He goes left, he goes right. He's trying to figure out which one that is going to advance where he can charge. He's got a good run out of 4 here. Let's see if he can do something with it. I think he's going to pull low. Kevin's going to cover him a little bit. He's to that quarter panel. Wow.
Oh!
Oh, no.
Pedro, into the wall they go. Oh, team name channel is going to be interesting right now.
Unbelievable.
He could have kept it clean enough, though. If he can get back up to the field, he can still compete.
That is not what I would have written in the notes.
Second straight race that Pedro's had a little issue mid-race here. But yeah, tough break. And Pedro did a great job saving it and light contact with the wall. And I don't even think Kevin got it that hard.
If I'm Kevin, I'm going to do exactly what I did. I'm going to cover that ground, make it hard for him, make him check up. And I probably would have thought he wasn't going to do that. But unfortunately for Pedro, there's only so much stopping those brakes going into that corner. When the corner starts, it gets harder and harder to make that car turn.
Yeah, I mean, hardly any damage on Kevin's car, so it looks like they'll both be okay going in. Maybe get a set of tires here, and they've lost the track position, obviously, so go get a set of field goods and go on from there. That's tough. You know, one thing, Justin, I think it was you that mentioned it earlier when we were talking restarts and stuff and the home run moves, if you will. You would think this is the track. You see it in real life, but maybe we haven't gone long enough for the slide jobs to happen.
Oh, and I think, maybe it wasn't really a slide job where Pedro Mojica kind of completed a pass, but he was certainly trying to make it stick down there.
Yeah.
Man, it's just the turn before, a couple turns before, you saw Pedro stick it, and he was 3 wide. Kind of gave away, a 2 wide battle there. But I can imagine Pedro Mojica. He knows he has the best car in the field. He has been meticulously kind of making his way up throughout the field. I can imagine he just wants to make another pass to get one car closer to get back to that front. And just got to remain a little bit more patient. But it's also, I'm sitting here. I'm not driving that car. Kind of sitting behind these cars that I know that I'm faster than.
Yeah, just a tough situation, and patience is so hard in racing, period. I mean, obviously you want to be able to just go and make moves and do what you got to do, but I think one of the hardest things that you can do is you get out here on the track for the first time if you're like a new iRacer, and you got to realize, hey, these are all human beings. And I fell for this at the beginning as O'Rourke and Coleman are, God knows what they're doing. But, and that's one thing I did. I mean, I've done this so many times in a console game where I will go and go to pit road in a moment like this and be like, fly right back through the field and lead the race. Where you do that with these guys, you're still going to be back in 30th. And you're going to wonder why you made that move and all of a sudden finish 25th in a race you should have finished 10th.
So who are we watching at this point? Obviously, you have Justin Fuller up front, but I mean, just because I see his name pop up every week and he's in the top 5, top 3, winning most of the races that I see, I'm looking at Tyler Dalton. He doesn't seem to be as strong as he normally is on certain tracks and in certain series, but I'm even keeping an eye on Nelson Rivera, who had the good pitch strategy, and he kind of has rallied back to 5th after dropping back a little bit. So who are we looking at?
The Talkin Giants, one to watch. I'm going to take a page out of Kevin's book here because I know where Kevin's going, and I think I'm going to have to steal the pick from him. This is right up David Comstock's alley, the way this race is going right now. David just kind of hangs back, just rides, keeps this car clean. Yeah, he was involved in a little bit of argy-bargy a little bit ago. And all of a sudden, that 13 car will just be sitting up there in the top 3, ready to win this race.
If you take the 13, I'll go with the 30 tonight.
All right.
I don't know, something. He's right there. Hasn't won in quite a while. Probably a little hungry.
13 going on 30.
Johnny Hustle there, Mr. Macklin. I'm surprised Pedro pitted. Maybe he had a little damage. 104 with 50-ish laps to go.
He lost his track
He's still
position.
got enough time.
Well, I think he lost his track position there, and that's why I think he made that move.
Yeah, but everybody pitted, and he was down there a little bit longer than everybody else. Came out about 4
I see.
back, so
Maybe he did have damage in, yeah. Maybe you're right. As Fuller leads him back to the green, he had Mike Kelly to his outside. Brian Macklin there in third. In what has turned into a battle, if you will, of attrition. Joey Gittino looking Beasley, trying to make some moves back there around 6th and 7th. How about Bob Gillenwater up though? And I say that as Gillenwater.
excuse me, pardon me, coming through.
I know somebody's not going to be happy about that. All of a sudden, there's that 84 car again. There's the 12 assembly. So those who have had issues throughout this race, Assembly just got into Cal Antonio. I was like, here I go with the jinx.
Yeah, Kevin Stone in that top 10 too, and that 17 good run for the Ford Performance Mustang.
So as
Up, sideways, and in the wall.
that Dalton hard into the wall, and and they're wrecking behind him. Stony Benfield.
I'm out of caution marker indicators.
Page 2 of 2. In case you guys haven't been able to figure out, Kevin does all the writing. I literally just sit here.
Of course, my first broadcast where I talk glowingly about Tyler Dalton the whole time, and this is probably one of the first races that I've ever seen him.
You're starting to learn. Now you see where Kevin and I are always like, what in the world? We can't say anything. I mean, it got to a point a couple of weeks ago we had to tell Kev, stop saying people's names.
I know, it was embarrassing. I think that was just two drivers heading for the same real estate. Tyler went in, didn't expect the 30 to hold him down so much, and unfortunately for Tyler, he took the worst on that hit.
And Tyler's, outside the car been having, I think he's been battling some kind of issue or something, so he's been not hit and miss on the track. So Tyler, I'm sure, is happy to be back on track, but probably, it looks like Tyler slid a little bit there.
I feel like he was searching for something in practice. Typically, he's command and control and sharing settings and information.
Oh, there's your answer right there.
He seems to be hunting just a little bit.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. He's got Macklin on his door. He goes into the corner. They're going to hit each other right about now. Bang. And that sends Tyler sideways.
Right. I think that 30 was holding him down, not anticipating him. But if you watch Tyler's line, he's right in the tire tracks of the car in front of him on a conventional line.
Look out, Comstock. There.
He's got a horseshoe, that guy.
Pretty much. And then that guy there in front of him's like holding his arms folded like, what are you doing? Then there's guy here with his fist in the air, fist bumping.
This is that moment where you sit after you crashed and you just wait a second before you grab a gear.
Take a breath, right?
No, you're just frustrated. You're like,
yeah.
That sucked.
But you almost got to take a breath though and be like, all right.
Yeah, like, okay. After all that work, here I sit against the fence, broken-hearted.
I think that 84 car had some sort of nice maneuver to miss a car that was coming up the track before the 19 spun out. I think he had to avoid the 19 too as he spun out too.
I think I know what you're talking about right here. Him and Stoney have been, ironically, Kevin!
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and you see Jeff gets in the back of Stoney, so yeah. Almost a little bit of certain braking going on there.
Stoney's been like 8 ball in the corner pocket tonight. Just everywhere it goes, somebody wants him.
Pretty much.
Seems like they lost them
I've
in
had a
football.
good race in that.
So you guys picked a great race to come up.
Lots
I
of
think
action.
at this point they should just anyone they're bothered with, they're gonna wreck anyways. Just go wreck someone on purpose.
Doy Woods was calling for rain.
Hey, it's funny you say that. Yes, well, today's race now, excuse me,
Yep.
is the second New Hampshire race ever to be postponed. The first one's obvious.
I won't say who won. Somebody recorded it, but the right guy won.
Well, the first year it happened was the obvious one was 9/11.
Okay.
That was moved to November of 2001. That was the one postponement. Today was the second postponed race in New Hampshire's history. You wonder how the lobster felt. Man, I gotta stay here another day.
What's going on?
Still something's fishy going on here.
We'll be in somebody's tank tonight.
Well,
Yeah.
he or she might like bass. Never mind. Here we go. Green flag back out.
Turn number 1, check. Turn number 2, check. Clean to the backstretch.
Kevin,
Let's get these guys spaced out a little bit here.
somebody sliding back there. Kevin's starting to remind me of the movie Little Giants when they just tried to gain a yard.
Turn number 3, good.
Great movie. Oh, Kevin getting loose back there. Everybody's okay, though. And so Fuller leads by 0.3 now as we get to turn 1.
Tony missed the corner, slid up into that gray area, but gathered it up.
Look at Kelly. There goes Dalton in for the infield.
There's Dalton again.
Dalton crashing one more time on the backstretch.
Green. Come on, go, Dalton.
Yeah, we're staying green. He's down the bottom. Nobody's near him. So we should be good.
Oh, Tony's around in turn 3.
And there's the caution.
And yeah,
There's
there.
the faster. May not be a sinner, but he's a spinner.
Well said. Wow. You
I
should
knew
have,
you'd like
you should
that
have your
one,
own show.
Chris.
Just lost it going into the corner there. Which again, even after this many laps, is easy to do. Difficult racetrack. You know, you think about a lot of comparisons to Martinsville.
It's a big
The
version.
only speed is to roll the car down into the corner, float it right to the razor's edge, and then pick up the throttle and drive it up off the corner. You may have a little more room to work with and a little more space to slide the car around, but the traction is not there. It's just not there.
Saw that
Little
fake
pump
by
fake.
Comstock? Yeah. All right, so I'm opening up the channel for question. Anybody got anything they want to ask the guys from the Talkin Giants podcast versus the world? That is featured on John Boy Media. That's the guys joining us here tonight. We appreciate them joining us and hope they've had a good time. Their first experience here in the booth.
I'm a Jersey guy, so I'm going to venture into some areas and just ask you a couple questions. Ready?
Bobby Skinner, Justin Pennick. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's-
You're in, one of you's in Jersey. What part of Jersey are you in?
So I'm in Union County.
Union County. Okay, so you're in the Giants territory, right? Because
Oh yeah.
from Central South, they're Philly folks. And
It's
so
tough.
I know, is there a question in there somewhere? But do you recognize the fact that it gets very contentious right about our zone in Hunterdon County with whether you're on the fence for Giants and Eagles?
So you're down in like southern Jersey.
I'm in
and-
central New Jersey, which doesn't exist according to Jersey people.
See, people have these
think it
weird-
exists.
It's like upstate New York.
I think
And then you
it
have
exists.
people who are Jets fans who don't fit in anywhere.
Yeah, really. Southern New Jersey Jets fans. Is that a thing?
That is the thing, yeah.
But I in my brain, and I have a bad brain. There's a certain point that you get to in New Jersey, where in my brain it's not New Jersey, and I start to say, oh, okay, I'm basically just in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. That's us.
Anywhere in the shore, I still count New Jersey since beaches are fun and New Jersey's fun. But if you, but if you start like going south of like, I don't know, maybe even like Seaside, You're like
Right.
inland south of Seaside. In my brain, this might I might as well be in Pennsylvania. Bad take, fair or not fair?
Yeah, that's a fair take. If you come out east of Philadelphia, out to Atlantic City area, and south, it's all Phillies fans.
Yeah.
And it's all Eagles fans. That they're not Giants, even though Giants are generally considered the primary Jersey team. So I just wonder, when you get calls, do you get heckled by Jersey people are primarily Eagles folks, which are funny.
But you know what's funny? You mentioned Atlantic City. I was down in Atlantic City this past week, and there's like a little thing, there's like a little, not really a running joke, but it's just a thing that we talk about on the show sometimes. Bobby, I was recognized again in Atlantic City Friday night. And it's amazing how I go down to Atlantic City. 4 out of the last 5 times I've been down there, I get recognized. Yet I can walk around in New York City for an entire day. And New York City is its own world. I understand that, but New York City, it's where, it's where people are. Atlantic City, not really. And I get recognized way more in Atlantic City than I ever do in New York City, which makes no sense to me. Green flag race.
The best way to know if you're in New Jersey is to see if there's litter on the side of the road, and that means you're in New Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was Florida.
Then it must be in Pennsylvania. We don't have that.
Oh boy.
All right, let's see.
You just
turn to the backstretch.
You just threw some more questions in my head, Kevin. I got to ask these guys now when we're done. All right.
Next caution in 25 seconds.
I'm looking at Doug Sigmund running alongside of Chad Coleman for 15th. Just a quiet night for Doug. I don't think I don't want to jinx him, but he's in that hornet's nest right there with Kevin DeBrown and a couple others.
Speaking of hornet's nest, EJ locks it up a little bit there. Look, you mentioned this mess here. Bob Gillenwater, Doy Woods, Chad Coleman, EJ O'Rourke, Kevin DeBrown, Doug Sigmund, you mentioned him. I mean, these cars, half of them have been destroyed, and yet they're up here running in the top 15 right now.
Yeah, we can't lose track of Pedro, who's made his way back to 10th. And
Yes.
He's still got enough time.
I think he's still
Each one of these cautions.
Oh, hold on, Doug. Oh, hold on, Doug. Sorry, Doug's in the wall back there with Charles. Everybody straight. We're good.
Side by side for 9th and 10th. Pedro underneath Cal and Tony. He's got the nod coming out of turn number 2 to the backstretch. Draws to the quarter panel. Joey Jattina, he's not going to make the charge. Going to run right in behind him.
Mike Kelly's ran the fastest lap of the race, by the way, 31:01 last time by. Track's getting cooler down to 115. Maybe we've hit a cloud.
Kelly's really getting through 1 and 2. The car picks up really well from the center off. He's got a good charge to the back bumper. Getting to Fuller and passing him is going to be a different thing, as the car is really porpoise through that. It almost reminds me of Auto Club Speedway going down the backstretch, the way the cars bounce.
Good call.
Not as bad here on the front stretch. It is a little wobbly, wavy to go down, but not more severe bumps. See Mike opening the corner a little bit, turning in later, and then turning down up off of turn number 2. Put a little more English into the car coming off of turn 2 that time, trying to find some speed.
And you see Fuller sliding up a little bit there. Kelly's able to get some air on that nose. Mid-corner.
Interesting if that's a good approach, right? Is he trying to put pressure on the 21, make him use his stuff up, and then he's eventually going to drive by him? Or is Kelly making a charge to see if he can get to the clean air and then hold him off by blocking? You're not sure which strategies at play. I would say the 2 is really pressing right now, but they're both running on pit stops from 51, lap 51.
It's tricky because you've got a situation here where Mike is in terrible air right now. I mean, all that dirty air, as we heard that term a lot today, is coming off of Fuller's car to Kelly. So you would think that actually Mike is hurting his tires worse than Justin is. So I think it comes down to driving style here right now and knowing how to handle the situation.
But what's interesting is with the laps going, here comes
3 wide.
underneath
Sorry, watching Beasley
the
and
third. Yeah. Comstock's side by side with Macklin out at turn number 4. They're dead heat. Comstock is pushing the issue, and Macklin slides up and brushes the wall. That's going to slow his pace a little bit. Comstock moves to 3rd.
There's a little bit of a slider. Rivera getting past Donaldson.
Thought maybe Macklin was saving something here, but under pressure from Comstock, I don't think he would have let him go.
Have we said Wesley's name at all today?
Wesley's had a bit of an adventurous race. Remember back on 87, he was in that melee where the 3 checked up, 91 slowed, and the 43 got into him. But here he has a solid recovery, running in the 6th position in the WB diecast Camaro, and he's tracking down the LaRue number 22, and I think he's got a little something for Nelson right now. As Nelson's car looks like it's dancing a little bit, but good showing here.
Whacking into 3. This is going to be big, I think. 2 cars went sliding into the infield. Kevin DeBrown and E.J. O'Rourke.
Oh my gosh, E.J. O'Rourke in the 7th wreck of the race. This is shocking.
That was a little 10 and 41 contact.
Yeah, I started to see it, and then all of a sudden I saw 2 cars shoot to the infield. And thankfully there's a road course down there.
I was hoping the 41 would get into wrecks so I could make that joke, but now I've beaten that joke to death. There's been so many wrecks.
Unfortunately, yes. Oh, yeah. Wow, yeah.
I think the 10 was just chasing the car up off the corner and trying to turn it down so he wasn't going to collect the wall. And unfortunately, when he turned it down, they got locked in together.
Here's the impressive part. None of them hit anything. I mean, the wall's like right there. Watch this spin.
EJ looks like he turns the car right a little bit with that 10 before he kind of gets dumped or spun out a little bit.
All right, some more pit stops here. Brian Macklin actually coming to pit road. We'll show that here in a second. We'll get on board with Kevin. I mean, how do they keep this off the wall is a miracle.
Whoa.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I mean, the barrier's right there, and they missed it.
It just that the barrier fell away when they were going through that part of the grass, fortunately, or he would have backed it in.
So 22 laps to go. As I mentioned, Campbell, looks like Stoney Benfield, Bob Gillenwater, those guys coming to pit road here. So
Macklin's car was fading, and he went and took 4 tires.
He
So
did.
that's going to be interesting to watch if the 30 can climb back through.
I like that play for him, especially the way his luck, yeah. All right, so we brought up Jersey, and I had a couple of years up there in the Rochester area. Of course, Rochester, the training camp of the Buffalo Bills, and of course up there, their what's the word? Their motto, I guess, if you will, or their battle cry, is "We're the only team in New York."
Yeah, they think that's so funny. It's just like, okay, cool.
How
And
cool.
we're both from Jersey, so it's just kind of like people say the New Jersey Giants is a joke. I'm like, yeah, I wish. Like, I still wish the Nets were the New Jersey Nets.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But those fans
But I ultimately
think this is some
recognize,
big
like,
own, and we just are like, okay.
Yeah, but I ultimately recognize like value of this is both the Giants and the Jets of not even being in New York, but just having the name New York.
Right.
Is New York? I mean, even just look at how much the Jets are being just amplified by the NFL right now. It's because they are the New York Jets, not the New Jersey Jets or anything like that. Because they are the New York Jets, and now they have some sort of relevancy with, Aaron Rodgers, who's, obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play. They're being catapulted into like the spotlight, which that's, hey, as a fan, if my team is relevant, that's what I want. I want them to be relevant, and I want them to be watched, and I want them to be cared about. And even the Giants this year, where they made a one playoff appearance in the last however many years since 2016. And now they have all these primetime games this year. So
Right.
I'm excited for it. I'm glad they are like the New York Giants, but I'm also very much glad that they play in New Jersey, because if they were in New York, I'm a regular season ticket holder for the Giants. I would very much consider I can't commute to New York City for games. names. I
So
can't do it.
let me ask this: would this be the equivalent of New York being almost like named after maybe it's a region? And I say that from the standpoint of New England. How
I
it's
will
not
tell some people that I am from New York.
right, but what I'm saying is like you could easily say it's the Boston Patriots, but yet no, it's New England, the region.
Yeah, that could work. I'll let that play.
It was like when they had the Super Bowl in New Jersey, everyone was saying Super Bowl's in New York too. Very
Yeah,
weird.
it's not.
That's like-
Very much not in
That
New
was like
York.
contradictory. But anyways, all right, back to green. 19 laps to go, so we're gonna watch Brian Macklin.
We've all accepted.
Oh, look at this mess. Oh,
Look at
Macklin
Rourke
and Eric hit
diving
each
down the
other.
road.
Oh, Eric. And around he goes, 360. Caution back out.
Oh,
That was a McDowell spin. They could have kept that.
Oh, he did that twice at Bristol.
I don't know how EJ O'Rourke like made it through that with that line.
It's you know what it comes.
Just okay.
I mean, EJ can drive a car. I mean, he goes out there and when you're able to send it down in there and
One of the things to note there is the 58 is claiming a spot every one of these restarts.
pretty much, he's up to fifth. Good
His
call.
tires, he is now sitting back there in fifth. So
The old bookend tackles checking in, talking Giants versus the World NASCAR edition. I don't know. Maybe.
Some of our listeners don't like that we keep it like a racing podcast.
Well, maybe there's a racing podcast needed.
Hey, I kind of agree.
I mean, I know somebody who could host one.
Is his name Chris?
Maybe.
We could talk, Chris. We could talk. I can't even convince them to do a football podcast outside the Giants.
I've watched every NASCAR race all year long. Every one of them.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as
Truck,
a matter of fact,
push,
I
push.
I have a little bit of a rage. Actually, I got to let out. The channel I've been watching like a lot of the Cup races on YouTube is like all of a sudden gone. So I don't know if they got hit finally or because they were starting to air some of the open wheel series, and I wonder if that series because they've been very close with like the whole iRacing deal with Motorsports Games because like technically there's a rule, right? We cannot air any IndyCar races on a stream on iRacing at all.
Who is the best racing like YouTuber to watch? Like I like Slap Shoes, but obviously he's not like covering it week in week out. Is there anyone
Like
outside,
on track racing, or like,
like that covers NASCAR? I mean, basically does what we do for the Giants. Like I know Jeff Gluck has his show and all the Dale Jr. Dirty Mo guys, but is there any like homegrown like start of their own guys that are really good to?
I've kind of got to be biased and say front stretch.
Yeah, I mean, I read you guys' articles and stuff. Do you guys have podcasts?
Yes, I do. Brian Nolan actually hosts a podcast on. I think he does it Mondays. You can actually go to the website and get it there, or Spotify, or whatever.
Get that up right now. So is it just the front?
Most people
Front
listen to
Stretch
Dale
podcast.
Jr. They listen to Dale Jr. He does the
Yeah, well, Dale Jr. Obviously, you've got the
Dale Jr. doesn't talk about the
And-
race for 4 or
and
5 minutes.
spotters. They talk
well, you
about
get the door bumper clear,
Yeah.
Uh,
They're
We-
probably
stacking
we were going to
pennies.
interview Freddie Griffin, or not Freddie.
Freddie Grant
Freddie Kraft, because he's a Giants fan, but
Hey, he's a
all
New
the
York guy,
Rangers
yeah.
talk about messed that up.
does a lot of stuff with Tommy Baldwin.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the rain messed that up when we were in Chicago.
You might need to make sure you have like a certain alcoholic drink with fire in it if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I would. I like those guys. Griffin gets people really mad, but I think that's kind of needed though too.
Brett does a good job of getting people mad.
I feel like that's needed though in an industry where everyone's buddy.
Right.
I think you need someone to
Contradict
you know,
or be the guy that's like again like
Not be afraid
that's
to
gonna
take a shot.
Right.
got the 2 and the 22 sitting here, second and third teammates. I wonder if that can help the situation for Mike Kelly.
When you got Comstock there with Fuller, and then you got Mojica
Fresh
behind them.
tires,
Yeah.
Mojica sitting there having recovered. And it's basically like a heat race on a mile track tonight. to the finish
can-
here.
We can need
Top
some
Truck
green
just
flag
punched
laps.
Kelly in the back bumper.
Yeah, I think you're right there about Mohican needs green flag laps. Couple of names I'm going to mention here. Could be sleepers. Doug Roth, Jeff Ryan. They pitted at 111 and 115. They're running 11th and 12th right now. They have the freshest tires out of the bunch.
Good restart for.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Pedro. Good restart for Fuller. He was able to get it.
Oh, I thought we were
Used it.
4 for a second. Sorry. Sorry, I thought we were 4 wide for a second.
Kelly once again opening up the entry. They're side by side for third back there. That has fell down.
Yeah, there's
And
some.
Mohican needs like dive.
Oh,
bomb that.
Anthony, hold on.
come
Caution's
Anthony.
back
There
out.
we go.
Caution's
There you
back
go.
out. Kevin Stone.
problem for Macklin, possibly. See him sitting where?
Yeah, he's over in turn 2 over there somewhere.
Backwards in turn 2. He'll be done for the night.
Yeah, he just towed. So 17th caution.
Then he
That
got to get 41.
that number shocks me.
Yeah, me too.
Mohican's gonna have to dive bomb on this next green because he's getting
Oh.
stuck between that third place spot.
You know what happened? Macklin just got in really deep and got into the side of EJ and then just drove up into the 17, got turned. Macklin, it's like he just misjudged maybe a little bit where the 41 would be.
Can't believe O'Rourke was involved.
Bam, right there. I almost wonder if Ed Hockley is officiating this game.
Yeah, Macklin looked like he was just kind of done with it and just went for it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm sure a lot of guys are in that mode right now.
No, I'm biased. That 84 car had another
Yeah.
nice save.
Very nice.
He had a tank slapper, if you will.
1, 2.
I am biased. I don't know if
That's
I said
okay.
I may
Well,
be biased. I am biased.
You're representing the sponsor. You're the podcast that's on that car, so I can understand a little bit of biasy there.
I've been watching him all year. You know, I watch him a little more closely than some of the other guys. You know, I've talked about
Understand.
guys that I've watched. Like, you know, I've talked about Tyler Dalton. And, you know, obviously the EJ O'Rourke versus Anthony Calantoni storyline. Don't even want to call it a feud. It's been something that's dated back to February at Daytona, like in the trucks. or
First
in the
time we
Xfinity.
watched it.
First time we watched it, it was EJ O'Rourke and Anthony Calantoni on the last lap battling for it there. But I mean, our guy Anthony Calantoni, I think I may actually talk to him. I'm going to see him this week, dude. Like, I like seeing the close calls that you have on wrecks and stuff when you're spinning out. You know, at the beginning it was cool to show off that maybe you can keep the car in line, but getting a little old, man, because it's giving me heart attacks every time I see the car lose it.
So
Getting a little old.
I got to figure out this bookend tackles. He says I was a Garrett fan back in the day. I'm trying to remember Garrett. Oh, Jarrett. No, never mind. He
Garrett,
cleaned it up.
okay.
Dale Jarrett, and he said Austin Bill from Dawsonville, which, for those who don't know, I actually am literally 20 minutes from that town where I stay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I go by Dawsonville like all the time.
Those are fighting words.
Atomic Burrito, this race is as long as the suffering Giants fans have had with their crappy QB.
Oh, that's tough.
Ouch.
That's what I said.
Ouch.
Are they talking about Eli, the Iron Man?
There's a few. I don't know if they're talking about Eli, maybe the late great Jared Lorenzen. You got Dave Brown back in the day.
Speak your Atomic Burrito. Hey, I love trash talk. Tell me what your team is.
Oh jeez. Doug, I'll show you. I'm gonna leave that comment alone. Leave that comment
Leave
alone
what
for
culture of
Doug.
violence means.
Well, I mean, you guys had a cup of coffee of Josh Johnson for a little bit. That was pretty cool.
Josh Johnson. He's my favorite player in the NFL. Like, I hope he never retires. I hope he plays for every single team.
It's gonna be the. Who am I thinking of?
John Gruden drafted him. I remember him starting on Monday Night Football.
Where inside tend to go. Some drivers, sorry.
Thank you for the transition.
Some of the drivers have worked their way back in play. Pedro has not been able to capitalize on all these restarts. Sitting right behind him, Doy Woods running seventh.
Doy Woods in seventh there.
Really,
Calatoni.
one of those guys that can charge very quickly.
Yeah. The Bossman there at 10th. And I agree, Doug, Geno Smith should have started more games. I mean, Geno Smith has turned into the Jose Batista, maybe, of the NFL. Late bloomer, big time.
I still hate him.
Fair enough. As we go back green, Comstock up to third, Rivera, who's, by the way, only pitted once.
Rivera drove him out, legged it out on the back straightaway. He's going to tuck in behind his teammates going into turn 3.
Ooh, Pedro got a little loose there, had to get out of it. Coleman. Oh, no. Ooh.
Wow.
Right into EJ O'Rourke.
EJ gets in it.
Finally
Simley, I
lost that
think,
bumper.
got some damage.
Are we close to green-white checker?
Oh, we're definitely getting to SIM500 overtime here shortly. Pop quiz question for the boys. Do you know the record without looking on you? Oh, EJ just, ow.
Oh no.
It looked like he's trying to end his night on
Yeah,
purpose, right?
well, I mean, that right front's broken. Record for cautions in a race.
So right now I think we're at 19 for this. I'm gonna say.
In real life, by the way.
Oh, in real life.
Yeah, sorry, I should have clarified. I don't know the record here. I'd have to look.
I'm just gonna guess 17 at Bristol, maybe.
That's a good guess.
Oh, it's definitely over 20.
Derek Myers
I'm gonna
knows the
go
answer.
I'm gonna go with 20.
I'm gonna say 22.
That is
I
it.
think it's 24.
It was 22 at the 2007 Coke 600. It was a race where they decided to ground the inside of the track to create a second groove of racing, and it turned into a wreck fest, including Dale Jr. wrecking Michael Waltrip at one point in the middle of the race.
Yes, that was some like DEI like down.
And that was the big time downfall after that. And yeah, that's the record. It used to be Bristol, though. Before that race, it was Bristol. It was 20.
I listen to some, Dale Jr. download stuff of, the DEI days.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Good stuff.
if you're a kind of like, I consider myself a big NASCAR fan, but I don't fully know like how the cars work, and all like the inside, like the DNAs, the insides and the outsides
Right.
of the cars and stuff like that. Like football, X's and O's and the deep analysis part of the game, I obviously know. The amount of times that I've heard them talk about springs on that podcast has now made me want to look into like what makes a good spring, what makes a bad spring, why are springs such like state secrets in NASCAR, or at least they used to be, because the amount of times that I've heard like the Napa team and the Bud team fighting over the springs, it's unbelievable.
Well, because, and it goes back, and for those who don't know the story, Tony Uri Jr., when he was over at Michael Waltrip, or with Michael Waltrip, after the whole, if you want to call it divorce with Junior, happened or whatever, there was a race at Pocono, I think it was, that where they were, hey, the Panthers are going to be okay. They're getting there. The race at Pocono where Waltrip went out there and won the pole and was pretty fast all day, and then Dale Jr. was like 2 laps down, struggling, and Tony Uri Jr. said, I'm not letting them run what at the time was the first of the coil bind spring. So literally Pops, Tony Uri Sr., went and got the spring and put it in Junior's car.
Yep.
And all of a sudden the car came to life, and from there it... Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, hey, you know what? These kind of races are going to happen. That's where we're all just out here, it's supposed to be fun on a game or a simulator before somebody yells at me randomly. But you know what? These races are going to happen. But the fun part is we get to sit here and have a good time, and these guys will, shake it off, and they'll come back next week when we go racing and have a good race. It happens.
Wanted this announcing crew to have a lot of experience together. The racers today.
Yeah, oh yeah. But tonight we're having fun here in the booth. We're good to have the guys here from Talkin Giants versus the World, and hopefully they're having a good time as We got two 811 cars on the front row as we go green. 3 laps to go. This is not an overtime finish, by the way. This is straight up right now. As Rivera almost gets in the back of his teammate.
Comstock's car looks a little nervous.
Yeah, Comstock got a little tight. It looked like middle off and slid up the track. That opens the door for Rivera.
Of course, there.
Down into 3 and 4. Two laps to go. Rivera gets loose. Contact. People hitting everybody. I had to watch what words I say there because last time I said something that I'm still getting joked on about. 5 wide as Roth gets turned.
Here goes Comstock.
We're going to go to overtime.
We're going to overtime now. Kevin Stone involved. I look back on the camera and I see 5 cars lined up.
It started with the 13 had a problem off of 4. I'm not sure what happened with him. Just got loose. Yeah, I believe he got loose, and that stacked everybody up on the front straightaway.
Oh, yeah, right there. Contact with Rivera. They get stacked up. Pedro lost a lot. Then they go down right here. I'm going to stop it. Right about here. Let's jump out of the car. Let's count cars here. All right, I thought they were 5 wide. About there. That's what I saw. I see Ryan. I see the 10. I see the 43, the 58, and the 17. And Pedro gets a piece of it. Kevin Stone nowhere to go. Dalton involved.
43 got taken out. You know, he had some wrecks, but he kind of came back as the race went on.
That was a vintage wreck right there, if you will. The tide ride into the STP car. All right, so can we say that this race has been the equivalent of a 0-0 football game that's like in the worst weather of all time, maybe in Buffalo in November with the 60-mile-an-hour winds?
But I'm enjoying it though. So I'm trying to think of a game we can compare it to.
The fog.
I feel like this is like a 4 overtime hockey game.
Is this Stanley Cup playoffs?
Yeah. Well, we're just going at it like, you know.
So I'm
a
thinking,
whole extra game.
what year was it? 99? Was it Colorado and Florida when they went 3 overtimes in Game 7? I think it was, or something like that.
I can't remember. There was just one this year where I think they went to 4 overtimes. I think it was the Canes and the Panthers, I think.
Oh God, we've had our first match of a Hail Melon.
Justin, text Anthony. Tell him just to send it.
I'll tell you, the biggest loser there was David Comstock. When that yellow came out, he was way up in turn 1, up against the wall, just trying to keep the car from kicking.
Bob Gillenwater just brought up an interesting point. He says
7th or 6th.
Gillenwater just said in chat, he said, so strange. A car would brake fine, and then out of the blue, next lap, brakes would just lock up.
Yeah, we've not talked at all about brake bias. These drivers were trying to mess with that. The two tools that they have is steering ratio and brake bias.
Right.
Even in the Cup race that they ran earlier today, they were seeing drivers messing with their brake bias. And brake bias allows them to drive it harder into the corner. Sometimes the brake bias will make a car turn. But it also could result in tire lockup and erratic braking. So,
Kevin, I'll say this too. This is the one car actually that has, was it the brake pressure? I believe in it, where you have to, like, if you don't touch the brakes at all and you just stomp on them to go to pit road, it's almost like they're not there. But if you continuously use them, the brake pedal will be there. You wonder if it's something of that nature, maybe. Like maybe too much brakes or something, maybe.
I think they're just running harder than they have all race long down into the corner, not giving up an inch.
So Doug asks how overtime works. Simple. It's 3. They get 2 attempts here. So they're going to take the green flag, and at the green flag, they'll come back around. If nobody wrecks in that 1 mile, and they get to the white flag at that point, the next flag will end the race, which will be the checkered, because they don't throw yellows under caution or under the white flag in iRacing. If they do not get back to the white flag, the yellow waves again, and then they'll get 1 more attempt to finish the race. So basically, we got 2 more attempts. There's roughly about 10 laps to go in this race at the most. So,
Fuller has to feel like today's winner. Just would love to see this thing get over.
now here's an interesting thing. Fuller took the outside lane here.
Yeah. But the 2 has gotten so many different shots at him these times. Might get him.
Yeah, here's the thing, though.
Evan-
Kelly almost has the room to send it here in the 1 if he wants. Here we go.
8 tires are better than 4. If he can get in there and lean on him, he might be able to shove him up the racetrack. But Fuller beat him to 1.
He sure did. Doy
And
Woods.
yellow.
Evan, you talked about that 91 car.
There's your yellow.
There he is.
Yeah, Wesley. Yep, up to 4th. Good call. Caution is somewhere. Looks like, oh, 1 car against the wall here.
That was early.
Kevin DeBrown. Yeah, it was like right as they took the.
There was trouble up ahead of him.
Oh, that's the last caution.
44 maybe?
That was the last caution.
Oh, yeah. The 43 got into the 75.
Oh, yeah, right there. And then Campbell. Oh, whoa.
And that came across and got the 44. 20 cautions. That's, I don't generally get into that territory.
I could, wow. And for those watching for the first time, this is not a, as these guys said, obviously, they've watched plenty of broadcasts, not what this series does. I mean, I could argue that, let me pull up the schedule really quickly for the next couple of weeks. I know the tracks we are coming up to here next couple of weeks are, we're at New Hampshire. We just got, oh, that's last year's. Here we go with that mistake again. So next week we're at Pocono, then it's Richmond, then it's Michigan, then it's Indianapolis. I can almost say the month of August, we could probably not even match the amount of cautions of today.
Yeah, this is definitely the most I've seen race I've watched. The only other one that I thought was maybe close was, I can't remember if it was this or the Xfinity's
Martinsville.
at Daytona, one of the Daytona races.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on pace to run half this race under caution, which is,
That's unfortunate.
that is just such an anomaly for this group.
Yeah, of course, this is the 811 Cup Series, presented by North Carolina 811. We appreciate those guys for sponsoring this series and also the Grand National Series you see on Sunday nights. Tonight's race specifically, the Talking Giants versus the World 150. We've been joined with Justin Pennick and Bobby Skinner from the podcast, as these guys like to talk football. Tonight they wanted to talk a little racing, and it's been fun to have those guys here in their personal experiences with the racing, from iRacing to actual real stuff, and hearing some of their ideas and things of now I'm just looking at chat, and just hearing their feedback of what they get to see, and we appreciate those guys, and I know Joey and SIM500 appreciate what these guys have stepped up to do. Of course, they sponsor Anthony Calantoni's number 84 car. It runs in the 8th position, which, by the way, speaking of 84, we have not even mentioned this. There's an 84 now on the Giants roster I think you guys are excited about.
Oh, Bobby.
Jalen Hyatt, the Tennessee cat. Man's got some speed. Now, he said he wants to change to number 84, but I think he needs to stay with it just to match the sponsor. And then maybe we get him on the show or something. Yeah, who is faster, 84 Jalen Hyatt or 84 Anthony Calantoni?
Depends on what track.
Galantoni all day.
That's what track. And you know, it's funny, you know, I was talking with, you know, our driver and Anthony before the race, and, you know, he said that this is one of his tracks that he's least confident in, but he's back at the I'm surprised he even qualified so well for 7th. So he's back in the position 7th and 8th, you know, round where he qualified, and we'll see how he finishes up. But I'm just excited to see if anybody's going to challenge this 21. And I'm looking at this 91. You know, is this 91 going to get off to a good enough start to maybe have something to say? Wesley Donaldson to have something to say to, you know, maybe put an exclamation point on this race and try and win it.
And if I remember correctly, I know Wesley joined this league when the merge happened with GOAT. I don't think he has a league win. I know definitely not on the Cup side. So that would be an interesting way to do something that Joey Logano and Ryan Newman have done at this track, minus there was rain in both of those races. All right, here we go. To the green. Fuller launches from the inside this time. Kelly down to the bottom. Jatina with a big block on Beasley. Out of all the people, I don't know if he's the one you'd want to wreck on this last caution. Jatina, I'm speaking of.
What a start. He was shot out.
Up, caution. Race is over.
Race to the group 5.
Yep. Tyler Dalton and Eric Arnold officially put the nail in the coffin. I don't know if, obviously, Kevin, you know Ed a little bit more than I do. Now, Ed Burrell, of course, passed away, and Fuller running the 21 in honor of Ed. The 21st caution for the 21 car to go to victory lane.
Wow.
As
The 811 cars take 1-2.
that great run for both Fuller and Kelly. As Justin comes off turn 4, it's going to be an interesting interview here in just a few minutes. But Fuller comes off in turn 4 and wins here at New Hampshire. Kelly, Donaldson, Woods, and David Comstock ends up 5th. Rivera, Calantoni, Jeff Ryan, Joey Jatina, Richard Beasley. I'm going to read a quote as Fuller will come around here to pit road. And this is what I'm going to read is, obviously, as Fuller being Fuller here. Ow, Kevin back there. This sponsor is unacceptable. A Cowboys fan has to win tonight.
Uh-huh.
So the rivalry has just started in iRacing now. Gotten going.
I think we may have found our new EJ O'Rourke.
No.
I didn't tell you guys that I'm a Rams fan.
Hey, won a big game a couple years ago.
Jersey guys are not usually.
Now, I won't mention that.
We're in Jersey circles, but
Are you like original LA Rams or
original LA.
Wow.
Yeah, Ferragamo and all that. Before that, Dickerson, yeah.
All right, so let me ask you, you just reminded me of a question.
Arden Can Wait. Do you remember the movie? As a little kid, went to see that, and remember Warren Beatty played the football. That was the team, Rams. And as a little kid, I picked up on that. And ever since, all you Jersey folks have been trying to convince me to be either Eagles or Giants, but I've just quietly said, uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll think about it. Not so much, though. Before we go into the interviews, Rutgers. Are they even acknowledged in Jersey?
Greg Schiano's back.
Well, that's fair. I'm back when he had Brian
Greg
Leonard
Schiano-
and Ray Rice.
If Greg Schiano even has one winning season, he will be elected. And if he chooses to run for governor, he will be elected.
Fair enough. Who was the quarterback those days?
Mike Teal.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the guy's name.
There's enough people in the communities of Central Jersey go to Rutgers that 1 in 10 people are Rutgers fans. Be mine. Simply because of the association in the zone. Ask somebody from Cape May and they'll tell you.
So Fuller burns it down as we look at the roster of who finished where tonight.
Just blew his motor.
What happened?
I think he just blew
yeah,
his-
I saw that too. Yeah, saw the smoke out of his car. All right, so we're going to talk to our top 3 guys here. And guys, if you have any questions or anything you want to ask, feel free to do so. As let's bring Wesley Donaldson up here as Wesley finishes in the 3rd position. And Wes, I know obviously not the race that anybody wanted. Let's just be honest. But still coming away with a 3rd place finish and surviving what happened out there in the track. I'm sure that part's got to be at least satisfying with some of the season you've had.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's good to finally put one of these together. I feel like I've had a lot of pace as of late, but I just haven't, either from my own mistakes or others' mistakes, I just haven't put a race together. But yeah, I mean, The race was a little rough, but I had a ton of fun either way.
New Hampshire, is this a track that you've come to enjoy, or is this just one of those where, you know what, you took advantage of the mayhem to get the best finish?
You know, I don't remember the last time I had ran here before this. I came into practice, spent the whole hour, and felt terrible. I told my friend I was just going to be garbage tonight, and I don't know what happened, but when the race started, got into like kind of that race pace, it felt a lot better, and I just felt like I got faster as the race went on.
Does it matter that your spotter's taking all the credit?
I mean, that's about all the credit he can take. He can only win at super speedways, so you got to let him feel good when he can.
Bazinga. Good fire back there. So, by the way, the Atomic Burrito guys, that is his spotter. So, well, great job, Wes, man. Congratulations on the third. Well done. And hopefully this will be the start of a string of finishes for you as we go to Pocono next Monday night. And send some shout-outs whoever you like to.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to SIM500, Joey, everybody who puts these on. Thanks for you guys for putting on these great broadcasts every week. Thanks to my team, BPPC Motorsports, and then shout out to my Instagram, WBD Diecast, where I make custom diecasts.
That is awesome. And
Ooh,
obviously,
I might need to get a hold of you.
yeah, I've been wanting to check out his website myself too, and that kind of thing. Especially if you're one that, now correct me if I'm wrong, Wes. You actually you design and do the whole.
Yeah,
paint,
I
correct?
mean, it depends. I mean, I don't do a ton of design work. I do a lot of like real life schemes, but I can do like iRacing schemes for people too.
There you go. So check out what's that on Insta Faces, I like to call it.
WBD Diecast.
There you go. Make sure you check it out. Wes, good job. And boys, you got anything for him or?
No, I'm going to message you about a diecast. That interview
Sounds
fucked
good.
me up.
He's getting it.
I'll be waiting.
Oh,
Your talking giant's
WBD
ask is
diecast.
coming.
Right.
All right, nice job, Wes.
Thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Wesley Donaldson finishing in the third position. And Kevin, I think for like the 75th time, you get to talk to Mike Kelly.
Yeah. Mike Kelly, second place finish tonight, running right behind Justin Fuller, but just couldn't seem to find that extra little something. Take us through those last couple restarts, and if you could think of anything that you possibly done to try and get around him.
I could have wrecked him.
Yeah.
But no, other than that, I mean, we were pretty even, and I felt like he might have been a little looser than me, but, you know, you can't get in any rhythm, you know. I don't want to be negative in this interview. It was bad enough, but it's just hard to get in any kind of rhythm. And we were both really fast, and without him making some kind of mistake or me getting into him, I don't think I could have got around him. But it felt good to be competitive and at least be able to run up there. And, you know, like last night, Pedro ran off and hide. So it's good to know you got a car capable of winning, and didn't get killed in any of the yellow flags, and gave Justin as much pressure as I possibly could. It seems like I fought off that third place restart position about 100 times tonight, and that was tough. So, I mean, it was a good, hard race considering how it unfolded. But car was really racy, and the track was fun to drive. If we could have got some green flag runs.
Talk about that a little bit. We noticed you were opening the corner up a little and trying to drive off from the bottom, but talk about race conditions, what the track was like to drive. What were you struggling with the most?
I would say for me, the corner exit, pretty much, if you tried, my car would do whatever I wanted to pretty much into the corner, through the middle. It was great. And I struggle here a lot of times with stuff like that. But you'd get a good run through the middle, you'd roll it through the middle, especially on that outside groove. It was pretty deadly right there on that exit of 4. You wouldn't even really, you'd kind of just be rolling barely on the gas, boy. And there was a spot that was like, if you weren't ready for it, or if you were a little offline, it just, it just kicked out. And, you know, with guys underneath, you could race side by side. So you didn't really want to lose that momentum. And if you did, you know, you get just a gang of cars get up on you. And I just tried to be smooth and save my tires. And it didn't really seem like fresh tires helped a lot. I was 26 tires fresher there for that one long run behind Doy and Justin and a couple of those guys, and really didn't have anything for them until we got way deep into the run, and then the timing of the yellows kind of got everybody on the same tire strategy. So
You had your teammate behind you for a good period of the race. Did that have any factor in your approach to those restarts?
if you're talking about Nelson, I mean, we're not technically teammates anymore.
Oh.
So yeah, we're not talking on the radio or anything like that. But I mean, I trust him as a driver tremendously. So it's good to have somebody like Comstock and Nelson and those guys behind you when you know you're going to be in a tough battle for the lead, and you can just look forward and not look in the rear view mirror too much. But a good hard racing with Nelson, good hard racing with David, Justin, a lot of fun up front. Just wish we could have got some more green in.
Yeah, it was a fit and start race, but some of those are actually the most gratifying to run when you keep yourself in the mix, and you definitely had a good shot at the win tonight and coming home second. That's got to be an okay way to go given the amount of turmoil behind you. Anybody want to give a shout out to them?
Yeah, I'll never feel bad about finishing second to Justin. But thanks to NC811 for sponsoring this series and me. And, Justin's driving the 21 car to fill in for Ed. And good to get the NC811 cars in the first and second. I wish it would have been reversed, but happy either way. And thanks to you and Chris and everyone at Captain Esports for putting on these broadcasts. Special thanks to all the sponsors here at SIM500 that make this great league go round. Shout out to Turn One Heroes, and let's see, who else do I want to thank? All the admins and the fans. And thanks to my smoking hot wife.
I was going to say, don't you miss it.
No, can't sleep on the couch.
I did notice as I look at my sheet, not a single incident for you. Is that right?
Wow.
Well, I did until David Comstock smashed into me on one of the late race restarts and gave me a 4X. So I was going for I think one of my first 0X races, and it went bye-bye. But usually I get killed and finish 23rd, so we'll let that go. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. It was a fun race.
You too, buddy.
There you go. Mike Kelly finished in second, and we'll turn it to Chris. He's going to pull up Justin Fuller and have a chat with our...
How about I break some interesting news that I'm just reading about here in the last couple hours? Actually, I'm just seeing this finally as, again, I have a chat room with the front stretch guys, so I just kind of checked it out while you were talking real quickly. How about this? Anybody know the name Brody Kostecki?
Doesn't ring a bell.
He's an Australian V8 supercar driver.
Oh, yeah.
Can we say SVG has knocked the door open? He's going to race for Richard Childress at Indianapolis on the road course.
Yeah.
Whoa. All right. Let's go get Justin Fuller. And bring him up here. This is going to be an awkward conversation. Justin, congratulations on the win. I know this is not the race that we wanted, but needless to say, man, you went out there, you worked a strategy, and kept yourself up there in the track position and brought Ed's car back to victory lane again.
Yeah, that's great to bring Ed's car home in victory lane again for him and all of his friends and family back home. So pretty happy about that. I really love this track, and yeah, not a pretty race for sure.
Obviously tires. That I thought tire strategy would come into play early because of the different cautions and stuff, and obviously it kind of had its hit or miss moments. And of course, you had tires there. Had an awkward restart where 3 of the 811 cars all came together there, but the track itself slick, yes, but what was? Is it impatience that was causing the root cause of this stuff, or?
I'd have to go. I'm sure we'll figure it out when we go back to the review. I didn't really think it was that slick. It was really tight entry to center, unless you overdrove the corner hard. And if you over throttled the exit, you could easily spin out because there's no sidewall on this tire, so
right.
There's no give and there's no side force on these things anymore, and you can just easily step it around. So you just have to really be patient on the throttle and just you saw the cream rise to the top all night with guys that have throttle control. So I'm sure most of the issues were on corner exit, and I'm sure we'll see that tonight in the review. But yeah, that wasn't pretty. It got a lot of cleaning up to do there.
Yeah, unfortunately. But we do go to Pocono next week, which hopefully, I'm sure we'll put on a better show, obviously being a bigger track and that kind of thing. So we'll have to see. But either way, man, still a great win. And I know you've been running up front there a lot lately, and some good luck, some bad luck. So just getting a win in general here has got to feel good.
It does. I can't seem to finish a Wednesday night race because of a certain somebody, but we'll work on that.
Thanks for the top 5.
Yeah. So it has been fun lately. I've been racing a lot more, enjoying myself. Tonight was a lot of fun, other than all the yellows. I thought the car drove really good, so I wish we could have had a lot more green flag racing to see what could have happened. I felt like I was pretty good on the long run, so never got to showcase it.
Well, unfortunate there, but still, great job. Congratulations as you get your second win, I believe it is, of the year. And send some shout out to whoever you like to, bud.
Yeah, thanks for you putting on the broadcast, all the admins at SIM500, Joey Katina for what they do. Thanks to NC811.org for sponsoring the car, sponsoring the series. Let me drive it. Obviously, it's great to be out here representing Ed and put it in victory lane for him again for the second time this season. Everybody misses him. Thanks to all my teammates at Aftermath Motorsports, Brian Mack on EJ Rourke on this race. Probably shouldn't send too much of a shout out to EJ. It looked like he had a pretty rough night, but yeah, thanks to what we had a sponsor tonight, right? Something about the Giants. I don't know. Go Cowboys, right?
Which of the 21 cautions was your favorite?
Man, I thought there was 22. I don't know. I don't know which one would have been my favorite. I have to go back and look through them all, but yeah, I see.
Good race, dude. That was fun to watch.
Talkin Giants sponsoring the race. That's cool to get an actual race sponsor, but go Cowboys. That's all I gotta say.
See you week 1, man. It was a good race.
Yeah, I'll be there week 1. I can't wait for it, and looking forward to it.
Come hang out in L16, lot L16 at MetLife Stadium. Well, that's where I'll be, and I'm there every week. So.
Well, I won't be there every week. I'll only be there for the Cowboys game. So.
No, I got that. From one Justin to another. Congratulations, and I'll see you in September in L16.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, good job, Justin. Congratulations on the win there as Fuller gets his second win of the season. That was a good cordial ending there. I don't know where else to go with this, Kev. Obviously, it was one of those nights, unfortunately. But you know what? As I say, these things happen. No one's perfect, and we move on. And we'll have a good show next week at Pocono. We do appreciate Justin and Bobby. Final thoughts, promos, whatever. This is your time, and let's get you guys some more viewers and streamers or whatever, and talk about the podcast.
If you're a Giants fan, check us out, Talkin Giants. We don't really need much promo, but it was cool to have our name on this and join the comment. And I've been enjoying. I haven't been able to watch all of them. But you guys see us in the chat. We try to check in as much as we can. It's fun to just kind of have something to watch in the evening.
There you go. And no, we appreciate that. And yeah, go check out Talking Giants. They're on the Talking Giants versus the World. They're on the John Boy Media channel and stuff. And I know on YouTube and that kind of thing. So many different ways to watch or listen to them. Spotify, there's like 100,000 different podcast places. And go check them out, especially if you're a New York Giants fan. It's your chance to talk about what could be coming up here in the, second season of Brian Dable, I think?
Yep, second season of the Coach of the Year. But I appreciate you guys.
Yes, thank you.
Excited for Pocono next week?
Pocono, Triangle.
No.
Let's do it.
Let's
see
do
you
it.
guys there.
The breakout of Jay Sean Corbin, by the way.
Let's do it.
I'm hoping for it, man. Brevard, we need someone as a Brevard County guy.
We have learned tonight, by the way, that Bobby Skinner and I, well, we don't live miles apart, but he lives in an area that's literally 20 minutes from where I'm from. So it's kind of interesting. All right, we appreciate it, by Kevin. I don't want to leave you hanging, man. Final thoughts from you.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not mad. I'm not mad about tonight. I thought this was an entertaining race. I thought this is what happens when you put these guys in and they run hard all the way through from start to finish. They could have just lazily ran around. They were on the charge all night long, and sometimes this is what happens. But you see it in real life. You see it in the sim world, and we're going to have a great time next week. And I actually thought there was a lot of entertainment in tonight's race, so I'm not mad.
No, not at all. Nothing to be mad about. So
somebody down below is mad when they're reviewing the race, I'm sure.
That might take like a year.
Yeah.
Down there. I don't know if I might have to go to sleep before they're done down there. But anyways, no, appreciate everybody watching. Appreciate, obviously, Bobby and Justin for joining us. Thanks to NC811.org for sponsoring the series. And we go on from there. We'll go to Pocono next week and get ready from the honeymoon capital of the world, from what I'm told. I don't know what truth there is to that, but at least that's what I've heard. All right, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya.
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah.